Hi everyone, welcome to the IHACI 2024 Trade Show. And I'm here in our booth with Russ King, and he's with Quick Model 3D. Is it streaming yet? Do you come in? Give it a second. It should be going live. There he goes. So he's a little bit of a delay. So we got a short delay. So this is streaming live on YouTube. So if you can't make the show, welcome here. We're going to have a couple of guests in the booth, and so let's get started. So, Russ, explain what Quick Model 3D is.
Sure, it's a 3D load calc and duct design software. It's actually written in a video game platform, so it appeals to the younger generation. It's all in 3D. You don't have to know AutoCAD or anything like that. You import the floor plan and you build a house out of boxes, kind of like a Minecraft or something like that, a video game. And it goes really fast. This particular example I'm about to show you, I have a YouTube channel. I do this entire house, load calcs, equipment selection, and duct design in 26 minutes, start to finish.
Wow, that's quick. And
yep.
So what's the difference between doing it by hand? In the old days, we did it by hand, and software?
Well, time mainly. I did it by hand for many years, and it took forever. And then my boss would come and say, now do the load calcs with a different kind of window, and you had to erase everything and start all over. With this, you just change one little place.
It's just a click.
It's just a click, and it'll run the loads with a different kind of window, different walls, change the infiltration. It just goes so fast.
Okay. So between Quick Calc and all the different, name some of the other ones. Elite.
RightSoft, Elite, Cool Calc, EDS, all those.
What makes Quick Calc stand out from the competition, really?
Well, for one thing, it's one of the only three that are certified for manual J, S, and D. So it does do duct design. I used RightSoft my entire career. I've done thousands of homes in RightSoft, and it's just kind of old and clunky, and it's 2D. And the nice thing about 3D is the house looks like the house that you're doing, and you can tell if you've missed something. It's easier to check your work and things like that. And it's fun, honestly. It's kind of fun to build a house in Quick Model, and I have never ever in my life heard someone say RightSoft or Elite were fun to use.
Okay, so let's I'm going to bring up the screen, and then I'm going to put you in picture so it'll make it easy for you.
Yep.
So here's the screen. Why don't you go ahead and let me get that going here real quick. I'm going to turn this on.
Yeah. So this is about a 1,750 square foot ranch style home, very typical in California, and this would be a new construction example. The thing is, you need a floor plan, and if you're doing an existing house, we're actually working with a company called Casa, which is a phone app, and you scan the house. You just walk through the house and you scan the house. You send that off, and they send you back a set of floor plans that look like an architect drew it.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing, and it's free.
And it's free right now?
It's free, yeah. Casa, Cubicasa, Casa. And so once you have the floor plan, you import that into our software and you build the house out of 3D boxes. And I'll show you, I'll just place a box here really quick just to kind of give you an idea. So I just alt click and it places a box, and they're stretchable and they move around. And while you're doing that, and you can see they collide with each other, and you build the house out of these scalable boxes. And what it's doing is it's calculating all those areas of the surfaces and it's putting those into tables. And that's what Manual J needs. It needs wall areas, floor areas, window areas.
Well, because basically it's a spreadsheet, right?
It is. It's a spreadsheet. But how you get the information from the 2D plans into the spreadsheet is by building these 3D boxes.
Right. So can they start with a PDF if they need to?
Yes, a PDF. Any image file, you can import that, and then you scale it to this 3D world. And so that as you're building these boxes, it knows how big those areas are.
Right. So what is the importance of a load calculation?
Well, a load calculation is a measurement of the house, right? It's what the house needs. It's the heat loss in the winter and the heat gain in the summer. Without that information, you cannot accurately size an air conditioner or a furnace. You're guessing. And the way I explain it to contractors is, there's an old saying for carpenters that you measure twice and cut once, right? I'm not a professional carpenter, so I usually measure once and I end up having to cut twice, but I'm not a professional. If you're not doing a load calc, you're not measuring at all. You're guessing on the size of the equipment. Right. You're using square footage or something that makes no sense. And honestly, I don't know how people can call themselves professionals when they do it that way. You have to do a load calc to know what the house needs so you can pick the right size equipment. It's that simple.
So I agree with you 100% because at my company we do load calcs on almost every house.
I've seen your load calcs. You do a great job.
Yeah, well, and it's been doing it since like 2000, so I
Yeah.
better know what I'm doing by now.
Yep.
I make mistakes still, but anyhow, there's another thing about Quick Calc 3D it shows how the ductwork fits. Why don't you explain that?
Yeah, it draws the ducts in 3D, and they're to scale too, and it's literally as simple as click click and it'll draw a duct. And the thing is, you did the load calcs, you did room by room load calcs, then you tell the software how much air that system's going to be moving, and because you did room by room load calcs, it knows how much air needs to go to each room.
Exactly.
And then when you draw a duct to that room, it knows how much air has to pass through that duct, and it'll size the duct for you.
Right. So, and one of the advantages that we see in our business is we take care of problems, because I go in rooms all the time where the people have it, their heating and air isn't working for a room. You walk in, they got a window air conditioner in that room, they got a fan, ceiling fan going, and another fan going, and you ask them, says, this room not cool right? And they go like, how did you know? And you're like, well, I got psychic abilities. No,
Yep.
I can see this room doesn't cool. And by doing a load calculation, we can see how it works. So right now, you kind of got up there the ductwork, and
yeah. So I'm in duct draw mode or HVAC draw mode. And these orange handles are just that's just how you can adjust the ducts. You can straighten them out. If I go in here to registers and boots, you can actually drag a register anywhere you want to in the room, and it'll the duct follows it.
So do you prefer ducts in inside walls as opposed to outside walls?
I do. My philosophy is throw the air the opposite direction that it wants to go, and as the air is coming into the room, it wants to push that air out of the room. So my theory is put the register close to the door, blowing against that air, and what happens is you get better mixing that way.
Right, you get a better mixing in the room.
You do
Just
have
use
to
right
pay
register.
attention. Yeah, you have to pay attention to throw and things like that to
Right.
make sure the air reaches the far wall. But if you put it on the outside, on the exterior wall, it just kind of goes with the flow, and it just kind of there's not as much mixing. The air doesn't spend as much time in the room that way.
Right. So doing what ifs is a big thing on here.
Yes.
So let's say I wanted to change the windows. The guy had single pane aluminum windows, and I wanted to go to low E or maybe even triple pane windows. If this is not Minnesota, but
Right.
you might want to do something like that. And if
Yeah.
you want to do those kind of what ifs, it's a lot easier with the load calc software to just make one global change.
Yes.
Is that easy to do with Quick Calc?
It's very easy. Yeah, it's very easy to do.
So-
Quick model, by the way. Quick
model. I'm
I know
sorry.
that's how you keep saying that.
I keep
No
saying
worries.
Quick Calc. Quick
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, it's
3D.
there's two ways to do it. We have a library of all different kinds of windows, and you can change that one item in the library, or you can go to the table that lists all the windows and just do a global change
Global
of
change.
all at once. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then do you have does it have a database of different types of windows? Like if I wanted to bring up an Anderson window, or if I want to bring up a Milgard window,
Yes,
I can bring those up into
It
it.
comes with some
A
default
library.
windows, libraries, but you can totally customize this. You can edit this, and you can export it and then save it and bring it back for other projects.
Right. So one question I get asked all the time, what usually is your biggest bang for your buck when you're doing something? Is it insulation? Is it windows? Or does it depend?
It kind of depends. It depends on the age of the house, but for like new construction, to me, windows is probably the first thing you should focus on.
Right.
Invest in good windows. Have an architect design the house to not oversize the windows. You can get the same effect from a smaller window as you can from a giant window. So architects have learned to optimize light opportunities and things like that.
Exactly.
But in an older home, now you're starting to look at infiltration is probably one of the most important
So
things.
infiltration. So you recommend a blower door if they're going to measure a house?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, blower door every
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
It's amazing how leaky houses can be.
Oh yeah, I've had up to 20 air changes per hour.
Yes,
And
yes.
I couldn't even almost get a reading with it, and this is like a 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of blower door testing for SMUD, and we tested a house. We didn't realize that an entire window was broken out in the window.
Oh wow.
And we didn't realize it until we found that. And then we tested another house that actually leaked worse than the house that had the broken window, and we couldn't find a broken window in that house.
Oh.
So it was going somewhere. We had no idea.
Yeah, that's where I walk around, look for doors that come open and stuff.
Yeah, or
you know.
attic accesses. Sometimes
Attic
their
access.
attic access will be cockeyed, and there'll be a big leak through there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fireplaces.
When I've been doing blower doors, when I do a blower door, I've seen it where you're sitting there and the pressure is going good, and suddenly goes. You're like, what? I can't even get a reading now. What's going on? Oh, the door opened up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got to go
Push
in and
the door
latch
open.
the door
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah.
But you feel infiltration probably is one of the big factors
for older
in
homes, yeah. And then of course duct leakage. But here in California, if you replace equipment, the ducts have to be sealed anyway.
Right.
So you can kind of assume that that's going to be fixed.
Yeah. So that duct leakage is an important part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it a subscription base for Quick Model 3D, or is it a?
It's a 1-year license.
It's a 1-year license.
$299 for a 1-year license.
$299. That's not
and
too bad.
Unlimited use.
Unlimited use. Does that? How about tech support?
We have excellent tech support.
Yeah, but I mean, that's included in
yes,
that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
yep.
Basically, and learning curve. How hard is it to learn? I mean, a lot of guys. I don't want to do software. There's a article that was done in one of the periodicals for our trades where a guy said, I'm not going to wait. I got better time spent doing 90 minutes doing something else than doing this.
Yeah.
And doing a load calculation.
Yep.
And I can't believe they printed the very next article. They said how important load calcs were. And I was like, you got a guy telling you that he doesn't do them. And he's out of the business now. He sold his company.
Oh, wow.
So, just ruin it for everybody else, because I'm a big advocate for people doing load calculations.
I think it's hugely important. And then everyone tells me, well, you think it's important because you sell load calc software. Well, I've been teaching load calcs for 25 years. I've been trying to get people to do load calcs, and I thought that designing a really awesome software would help a lot, and it has, but people are still hesitant to do it.
Yeah.
I intentionally designed our software to be easy to use, to be intuitive. It's written in a video game platform, so the younger generation really take to it well. I've trained on RightSoft in Elite, and 3 days is not enough.
No.
To train on RightSoft.
No.
And that's kind of a shame.
It takes a long time to pick those up. If I was going to say, and I haven't played with your software yet because I'm old school. I've been using my. I'm a legacy. I don't pay a subscription price.
Old
I
dogs,
own the
new
software.
Tricks. Yeah, I know how it goes.
So, but I've been doing it for, it's like around 2000, and I've been doing load calculations and everything we do.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, sometimes you get a rush job and everything. You don't have time to get out there, do the measure the house, do the load calculation. Next thing you know, you got problems in the house, and the people are complaining. It actually happened to us last winter. We had a guy, it was right around Christmas time, he wanted his unit changed out, and customers think that a new system is a magic bullet.
Yeah.
It's good, or a silver bullet. It's gonna fix all the problems in their house.
Yep.
And so we went in, we changed this package unit out, and then the guy calls up about a week later, goes, hey, these 2 rooms are still cold. Well, they weren't getting enough air. We never did a measure in or a load calc. So doing the measure in.
Most of my career was I ran 2 mechanical engineering departments, and we specialized in new construction production homes. So you design a model that's going to be built 30 or 40 times, and then the whole subdivision. And I loved when we got homeowner complaints. I was like, bring it on, because we had we had load calcs, we knew everything.
Yeah, you go in there and
we knew exactly, And so if they were having a problem, I knew damn well it wasn't the design.
Yeah,
it was the installation.
The installation or how they use it. I had one customer years ago, swore her unit wouldn't work. Summer was over, so I said, look, and this is a new construction house, and I said, first hot day, we went out in May the next year. It's 107 going to be that day. That morning we got there, because I told her, you're not turning it on soon enough. And I swear I do. It was 72 degrees outside.
Yeah.
It was 82 in her house. And I had my guy just 7 in the morning. I had him jump it so she couldn't turn it off. And he left. We came back at about 6:30 that night. It was 107 outside, and it was 72 in her house. And you know what she said? I am not paying that bill. I am not going to pay that bill. The builder called me and said, hey, you're going to have to pay her bill. I said, no, I'm not paying her bill. I just had to prove that her unit wasn't working. She just didn't want to turn it on.
Yeah, there's management expectations is a big deal too. We had a big problem with homeowners not using their stuff correctly, and we used temperature data loggers and put them in the house and showed them that they weren't using it correctly.
Yeah.
Like the system, no system is designed to change the temperature in a house. It's designed to
maintain the temperature.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's like a refrigerator.
And so getting back to Quick Model 3D. Can you export this as a picture to the customer so they can see this?
Yes. Well, you can do screenshots. What I typically do is do a screen snip and insert that into a Word doc with a bunch of extra information. What we're actually working on right now is an online viewer where we can send the customer a link, and they click on that link, and it opens up.
Does it do like a walkthrough for?
Well, they can look at it
around.
They can move it around just like I'm moving this around here.
Yeah.
And they can see everything. They just can't make any changes to it.
Oh, so that'd be nice. That'd be really nice. When will that be available?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been fine tuning.
Price
going to
stay the same.
No, the price is going up on January 1st. Actually, now that you mention it. Yeah.
So if you get in now, do you keep the subscription to the next year?
Subscription,
so you guys out there that are thinking about doing the software, subscribe now. Get in there, get your subscription for it, so that you can keep that price till next year, because you'll get the better features. What's it going to again?
It's going to go up to about $400 a year.
That's still not bad.
$300 a year. It's still cheaper than our competition.
That's still cheap.
And it's going to have some cool new features too.
One job you can sell ductwork with one job because of this software. It'll enable you to make up every nickel you spend on it. One job.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And it's something that we always, I espouse load calcs to everybody. You know, that was one of the things I tried to get NCI to do forever, and they finally started doing that.
Yep.
They said, you guys need to train this, because this is what guys need to do.
Yep. Good stuff.
So, they can do it on a laptop, a desktop.
It's a PC. It's a PC based. It's Windows based. We do have users that use it on a Mac. There's something called a Windows virtual machine.
Right, so you can run it on.
You can run it on that. Yeah.
Okay. So, but it is a Windows-based software.
It's a Windows-based software. Yeah.
So, and is all the stuff saved to their computer directly?
Yeah, everything's on their computer.
So if they run into a problem, they might ship it to you, like the file, and then you can just.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. Okay, and just go, oh yeah, here's what your problem is. Yeah. You have to set to here.
We do Zoom calls with people all the time and walk them through their projects and stuff like that. We really pride ourselves in our customer support. Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll convince me to switch over. But I don't know. I'm so fast with.
I know how it is. It's hard to change horses, after you've been crossing the same stream for so many years.
Yeah.
But I totally get it.
It's hard to teach a new dog or an old dog new tricks, right?
Yeah.
So, did you have anything else you want to add? We have a few more minutes because the next person's not supposed to be here until 1:30. So.
One of the new features that we're going to add is, one of the calls we get the most is like people do their design, they're just like, I'm not comfortable with it. How do I know it's right? And so what we're going to do is it's like a self check. They hit a button and it goes through and it looks at everything and it looks for numbers that are kind of wacky, like your static pressure is way off, your friction rate's way off, or are you sure you meant to? Your house doesn't have any glass in it. That seems kind of weird, And it lists all the important inputs that are needed for a load calculation, and then it'll check each one and kind of put a red flag next to the ones that are kind of out of whack. We also have a very active a Facebook users group where people will just ask questions, and
then other people will jump on and answer the questions.
And everyone's super nice about it. They're like, oh, you forgot to do this, or you might want to move this around and stuff like that. So there's a lot of group support and stuff like that.
So awesome piece of software, something everybody should have. If I was to recommend, this would probably be the software you should start out with. Start out with this one, Elite, RightSoft. They're hard, big learning curves. In fact, they have training courses on it, and they have multiple videos too. But trust me, it's a lot easier probably if you're starting out on this one. And it's a good piece of software. It'll make your job easier, and it'll be able to sell you. You do not know how many times I've done load calcs. Guy has a 4-ton unit on a 1,500 square foot house, and I go into the load calcs and say, no, you don't need 4 tons. You need 2.5 tons because you've got new windows, you've got new insulation.
Yep.
And then the cost comes down on the price of the equipment, and then the price comes down on what the cost to run it because it's smaller.
And they're more comfortable too. I found oversized equipment causes more comfort problems than undersized equipment.
Yeah, that's
short cycling. It's blowing really cold air into the room, and then the system shuts off. The thermostat doesn't have a chance to even see what's going on in the rest of the house. Yeah. Oversized equipment has been a big problem.
Big problem. Yeah. So we'll finish with heat pumps. We're in California.
Yes.
Do we need heat strips in most of the houses here in California?
In 95% of the houses, I would say no.
Yeah.
You don't need a heat strip in California. Yeah.
So I'm trying to put together an article for the Indoor Comfort News about heat strips and whether we need them or not. If it's something we don't need, because we use 120 volt air handlers.
Yep.
And so we save $1 or $2. We don't have to run electrical to it, the whole 9 yards. We just switch out to a heat pump.
We have a lot of users in Florida, and they install heat strips and don't hook them up.
They just put them in.
Yeah.
So the guy says, you got heat strips.
Yeah.
But they got 220-volt air handlers. Most of that stuff's heat pumps down there.
True. Yeah.
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 So.
And Manual J is notoriously considered to be safe. It's higher than what the real loads of the house are. There's a lot of worst case scenarios built into it. So the chance that your house will ever actually need what Manual J says in the wintertime is pretty slim. And so your heat pump's going to work fine. On those really, really, really cold nights, if it's going to run off electric strips, put in a plug-in heater. That's an electric strip.
There you go.
And now you've got zoning. You've got room-by-room
Yeah,
zoning.
room-to-room zoning.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's not going to cost you any more money.
Now, if you run it right with these variable speeds, it's not a problem.
Not a problem at all. Yeah.
Russ, thank you for coming in,
Thank
man.
you. My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. Good software.
Thank you so much.
You do a good job. Again, I recommend anybody out there, if you're going to start out with a piece of software for doing load calcs, this is the one to do. Quick Model 3D.
Yep.
All right. Thanks again. All right. I saw Jeff over there, so we'll see if we can't get him started. I'll go ahead and I'm going to kill the picture-in-picture, go straight to this one. Yep. Thanks again.
Thanks.
And then let me unplug the HDMI here, and you're all set. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Don't forget your mouse.
Yep.
So Jeff Sturgeon from NCI is going to come in here right now, and he's going to talk about.
Hello again.
He's going to talk about some of the stuff here that he's going to be doing. Well, the NCI, this is Jeff. And could I get you to fill that out for me? So use your phone. It's a little scan code. So,
SAG card's not good enough?
no, it's not. First off, it's probably expired. So, this is, and what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of it, unless you got a thumb drive with you.
I don't have one with me.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll just send you a copy. I'll send you a copy via WeTransfer. So I'm going to stop recording and start again when we get started here with Jeff. So by the way, you guys, if you haven't come down to the trade show, there's still time. You can make it down here to Glendale, Pasadena, the Pasadena Convention Center, and come through the show. They're giving away all kinds of stuff. They're having raffles, giveaways. I just saw somebody just got a set of Milwaukee tools. Come on down. You'd appreciate it. There you go. You probably busted his eardrums when you did that. So you're going to wait for it. I'm going to start the recording, and we're still streaming. Jeff, welcome to the booth.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for coming in. Did you put that seat down low, or is it sunk?
No, I think someone else did.
Okay. All right. So, well, see, now the height difference goes in. Because Jess, what are you, 6'7"?
Yep.
6'7". I'm only 6 foot. So.
Hey, look at that. A very old yellowed NCI.
Yeah, he's got. Yeah.
Clipboard.
Clipboard.
Loving that.
You know it's a used clipboard when
back's worn.
the back sides are worn off all the lettering, so you can't see it.
And I tell everybody when you get one of these
Yeah,
clipboards,
put vinyl or put
some clear
shipping packing tape on it.
over
Yeah,
them.
so packing tape. Yeah, awesome.
Laminate them.
Okay, so Jeff here is with National Comfort Institute. They are a global company. They do global training, and why don't you just go ahead and go into it? I could explain it, but I think you can do it better than I can. So,
NCI, National Comfort Institute, we've been around in the industry since 1993, devoted really to training industry professionals to doing things better. When our industry chases many wagging tails, and a lot of them are silver bullets and shortcuts that end up causing problems. And a lot of what we train is just diagnosis through measurement, be able to teach guys how to really look and identify what is ailing a system, and be able to go through in a very clinical process to itemize, pinpoint the problem and address the issue, whether it's static pressure, airflow, refrigerant charge, hydronic balancing, commercial air balancing. We even teach residential balancing classes.
electrification now?
Yeah, electrification in the tech program, getting into high performance heat pumps, trying to explain the importance, as you know, of doing heat load
All
calculations.
right, folks, we got another raffle here.
Doing a manual JDNS for every job will really help guys understand not just how they need to install the system and how big it needs to be, but also keep their eyes open on things that we can take advantage of to reduce the load.
Yeah.
Looking at the structure in the house and everything.
How's it sounding live, Bob?
This is going to be for, this is
You don't have to wait. We're gonna give it a second. Let him. Sorry about that.
This is going to be Rick Sudes. Rick Sudes.
So we're gonna have to wait a minute here. While we're waiting, I'm gonna belt out some tunes. Okay, let me. I gotta belt out any tunes. We'll get.
It's our longest announcement of the day.
Hope you guys enjoyed your afternoon. We'll have another raffle in an hour.
Okay, cool. Then we're back on. I'm sorry about that. So go back to what you were talking about that before we left off.
So many companies today focus too much on minimum code. Our industry supplies so many standards of excellence and performance that we need to follow.
Right.
Because minimum code is basically a picking of the information from our industry standards. And when we're left with minimum code, people laugh at me when I say this, but minimum code's the worst job you can do and still have it be legal.
And still have it pass. Yep.
And so many contractors don't understand what they can really achieve by looking beyond minimum code and focusing on the industry standards a little bit and honing practices. So at NCI, we hold classes on single day air test and diagnostic classes, 2-day duct system optimization classes, residential system performance, residential air balancing,
commercial air balancing,
refrigerant side performance, teaching guys, the attributes of getting back into actually charging the systems correctly.
So do most of the NCI classes have a certification?
Yes.
And that's good for how long?
Most of our certifications are good up to 2 years, and you're required to come back for some of the certifications just require an 8-hour appearance back in a class. One advantage to people that we are currently certified, we have online recertification webinars because we have industry certified professionals all over the globe.
Yeah, they're in Dubai, they're in
South Africa, Dubai, Australia, Canada. So when they are coming out and when they're able to recertify on our webinar classes, it allows them to stay at home and still do their business, because someone from Dubai coming out here and getting a recertification for their advanced air and hydronics class, it costs them $20,000. So we do some.
So do that online can save them a ton of money.
Online.
Yeah. So you're helping out the guys so they keep their certification.
And we have such an issue with our workforce right now. The expertise and knowledge level in our workforce is been declining for decades. You've seen it.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I left the field to try to help the industry. And we just started a new program.
No, you left the field because Rob convinced you to do it.
He did. I don't, after 3 years of him hounding me, Rob Falk, the founder of NCI, chased me down to take employment. And later on, I found out it was a need to satisfy the contract with SoCal Edison. They needed someone experienced in commercial, so I was a fit. But I do have a passion in trying to bring a higher level of performance and expertise back to the industry.
Yeah.
Where we have an industry where there are sales agendas and approaches that, hey, if the system's over 10 years old, you need to replace it. And that's just, I don't know where that mentality came from someone who doesn't know how to install.
It's a sales mentality. Yeah. It's a company based. It's the if a company has that in their ethos, is that that's what they want to do, and they're going to push that kind of stuff. And the nice part about it is you don't have to do that kind of stuff. A lot of the stuff's repairable. So economizers, for instance, you guys have an economizer class.
Yeah.
That 90% of the economizers we go on are not hooked up.
That's right. Not set up correctly. And even with the training that we provide for SoCal Edison, one of the elements of that contract is once a professional has come to our class, we can provide unlimited in-the-field coaching to them at no cost to them or their customer, and continue the class building of confidence and technical skills in the field with them.
Yep.
Where it actually matters.
Yep.
And I go out in the field with commercial contractors, and it's amazing. We've had economizer programs on the books now for almost a decade.
Yeah. Well, for a while there, SCE was actually paying guys to go out and fix economizers because they could see the value in that and electricity use during a hot heat wave or when it's cooler at night. These buildings were all running straight cool instead of pulling that free outside air, you know, and they set them up correct.
The advantages of economizers are huge. I actually installed a 20% airside economizer in my home, and I was able to drop my utility bills by 40%.
So I have the cheap one. I have the whole house fan.
Okay, so I did put a full economizer in that runs with a Honeywell LCBS Connect system. I can do a pre-occupancy purge, post-occupancy purge, and I can delay my mechanical cooling until 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it is huge. So,
and if it doesn't need it, it won't come on. If it's not going to fit the parameters.
And you know, there's some differences between commercial economizers and residential. I can only bring in a small percentage of my total airflow in residential.
Right.
Because it's hard to get it out of the house.
So you want to talk about any of the partnerships that are being developed right now between NCI and several other
Okay, we have another raffle.
We're just
all right.
I can hand say we'll be right back after the raffle.
Milwaukee, as well as a pair of knee pads. All right, we got another raffle here. Again, we want to thank Louis Arciniega of the RNC.
Sir, did you have a question? Sir, do you have a question?
This one's going to go for Steve Kim. Steve Kim of San Juan Capistrano.
Interview?
Steve, if you're here,
come back about 4 o'clock.
Come on back to the IHACI booth and collect your prize. Again, this is Steve Kim, San Juan Capistrano. Congratulations, you won the raffle. Come on back and wait for your prize.
So right now it's 1:30, yeah. So unfortunately, I have everybody dialed in here right now. So they have time slots. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. All right. So you can hang around if you want. If the next person coming in is a little late, we can stick you in real quick. Yeah.
If someone shows up.
No. He's NCI. Yeah, National Cover Institute.
Oh, excellent.
Oh. So I tell you what, sir. What we can do if you want to hang around, if the next person, we may well fit you in for a few minutes if you want to hang on, because I do have kind of people scheduled out. I apologize. Okay, not a problem. Okay.
You were speaking of collaborations.
Yes, the collaborations.
Yes, we have had. We've always collaborated with the industry, but it is becoming more focused. We have joint diagnostic smartphone apps and diagnostic collaborations with the TEC company, the Energy
Conservatory. What's their best tool out there?
Oh, the
TrueFlow Grid, man.
Absolutely.
I love that thing.
I love it too. And you know what? I used the TrueFlow Grid of years ago, and it was still a great instrument, but
it was
today's TrueFlow is
different between day and night. And now you have demo mode on it, and you have NCI workflows built into the TrueFlow Grid.
And you actually get some NCI informational diagnostic outputs and little reports.
Right.
As well as from the Energy Conservatory. We're also working with Jim Bergman at MeasureQuick.
So now you guys are going to be dialed in with them too.
Yes, we're dialing in system diagnostics with MeasureQuick.
So that's huge. That's really huge.
We work with instrument manufacturers to continually develop instruments. With our training center, my training center being in Anaheim, I work a lot with Fieldpiece Company in developing their instruments.
Right.
I work with Dwyer in developing their hoods and Evergreen Telemetry with their equipment.
So on the, you have a new facility. You just moved, what was it, 2 years ago?
Morristown, Tennessee.
Yes, the new facility. Now that's last year. You moved to
Right.
that last year.
So actually, we moved the headquarters of our company from
Ohio.
Avon Lake, Ohio, to Morristown, Tennessee.
Right.
And in that period of time, I also moved my training center from Los Alamitos to Anaheim.
Right.
So we've had a couple little moves, but actually doing pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing that we're expanding in our classes is I've gotten Edison and utility approval now to do our classes at trade schools and community colleges to help those on-ramping technicians get the information they learn to better equip them when they step into the workplace.
So and expand on that. What are we doing in this?
I mean, for years, our industry has kind of moved away from focused education to surface education. You know, I try to tell most of the technicians
Right.
coming out of trade schools,
Right.
community colleges today, don't push away your first job, because they are in fact paying you to continue to learn.
Yeah, you're on the job training is
Because-
basically what you're getting.
Exactly. So a lot of the technicians trying to get them as much training as we can as they're on ramping before they get to the field, to better equip them, to make those harsh adjustments and lateral moves when they get to the workforce.
Right.
Trying to help. We just put a program together with UEI that we're trying to get. Hasn't happened yet, but on the horizon, we're going to work. I've got Field Piece. I'm working with them. They're going to be supplying a campus with some instruments and doing a pilot of doing NCI certification training classes on their campus. As well, for their students and alumni, we're going to do it at College of the Desert, as well as some other places, to expose to the industry the education that we can provide to better them for what's coming.
So, explain how it's changed since you started doing this. How many years ago was it for NCI?
I graduated Universal Technical Institute in January 11th of 1984. And back then, there was a huge level of industry collaboration. The unions were working with the trade schools in such that we were told at the beginning of the training that if we stuck to the rails, studied and performed well in school, that we would receive a journeyman's card upon graduation. And I did. I got my journeyman's card. I was hired as a journeyman right out of trade school, working at a company in the Bay Area, and going right into one of my first compressors I ever worked on was a 300-ton lithium bromide chiller. And so and even at UTI back then, the level of depth of what we had in the industry could have gone deeper. And it's only gotten, that learning pool's only gotten shallower since then.
Yeah. So how about the tech stuff that's come out over the years here? It's a lot easier now for a technician to do the diagnosis. We have so much smart devices.
Yeah.
And smart probes and stuff. Just stuff that would take you hours, I think, has been put down into minutes now.
Right.
So
I can remember doing performance analysis and testing back in the 2008, just before our first quality install job. Everything was measured wet bulb, converted to enthalpy. Taking temperatures was
doing the math.
A little too much time, having to do all the math by hand, and working with the instrument manufacturers as well as app platforms to build all those mathematical formulas, like in the Field Piece app and in the Testo app. Even though most technicians, if you're using the Field Piece app and you're above sea level, you need to go into the More catalog, go into unit settings, and actually set your
altitude.
Elevation. Otherwise, you're not correcting, inputting the correct air density correction factors for your calculations.
Yeah,
so,
especially if you're up in the foothills, man, or you're up in.
One of the biggest things I have found is with technicians and instruments today, we want to take it out of the box and put it to immediate use. Slow down and read the instructions, okay? Most of the errors I found is the instrument's not set up correctly. It's not used correctly, and a lot of times the contractors leading themselves into a little, chase their tail around a tree
Right.
because they started off with the wrong information.
So did you want to talk a little bit about Rob's legacy? I mean, and Rob and NCI itself,
Well, when Rob passed away 2 years ago, the legacy, it was decided that the legacy stay in place, that we do our best to help this industry and basically infuse the use of the standards and help train diagnosticians and airheads on how to better come out and test and assess, build proposals, and repair existing systems.
Right. Because Rob's not really, the training was only a little bit. I think, it's National Comfort Institute. I think it should be the National Caring Institute because they care what we do in this industry.
Exactly.
We want to make sure that we do the best job we can do, and that we provide the comfort.
Right.
Caring and comfort is the two C's that it has, that NCI stands for. And when the first NCI classes I took was through Southern California Edison, and was commercial air balancing, and went down there to take that class. Excellent class. I mean, after I took the class, I learned a lot of stuff in the class that I didn't know, and it made my job easier when I go out there because I now know what to look for, and that was one of the reasons that I took the classes, and I have my other guys. I've had several people train through NCI, and NCI classes are not cheap, but some of them are put on through investor-owned utilities. They are offsetting some of the costs, and tech programs picking up the costs for some of these for like the electrification class and refrigerant side performance, so that we can do a great job.
Yeah, a typical $850 class anywhere else in the country is $100 here for Edison, and $0 in some areas for tech.
For tech, Tech's picking it up.
Another collaboration that we're working on is actually with NEB. In working
National Airbound.
NEBB.
NEBB, okay, yeah.
Environmental Balancing Bureau, National Environmental Balance. We've actually been working with them to where we are in a good conversational platform where they're now accepting NCI certifications for air balancing as a pathway to take their exams. So there's been so much more industry collaboration and stuff since Rob's initial vision.
I occasionally do classes for NCI because I do a lot of classes for IHACI. It really eats my schedule up. 70 classes a year with IHACI is a lot. So I teach in Northern California. But when Rob, approached me, I couldn't get on board fast enough because its organization is so excellent. There's nobody that doesn't pull their weight at that place. And it's really geared toward students and instructors. They hire good instructors. Not saying I'm a great instructor. I'm not bragging about me whatsoever.
I wouldn't have referred you if you weren't a great instructor.
Yeah. But the thing is, COVID hit at that time, and then you guys went back to live, which was great, and that's when he hired me, and then the next year he passed away, which was unfortunate because the industry lost probably one of the few air heroes.
Yeah, definitely. I miss him weekly. Rob's ability, I've had a lot of experience in the industry in quite a few different sectors, everything from aerospace, aeronautical, laboratories, science. I've got a lot of experience and knowledge, and what Rob had an ability and craft to pull information out of my head and put it on paper that actually made sense.
Yeah. So tell a story about some of the engineers that you get to teach, because the engineers, they do think they come out of college or whatever with their engineer degree, and they think they know everything, but they don't really, it's not applied. That's the part of the problem. So give me a story about one of those.
Okay.
Because you had one recently that you talked about.
I've had a couple incidences lately where trying to bring the engineers' acceptance to reality was very difficult. The most recent was a NASA aerospace facility in Los Angeles area I can't go into some specifics. It is an ISO facility, and they had been fighting to try to get their certification to get approval. They didn't get open for like 6 months.
Right.
And just trying, the engineer was telling us what was wrong based on his, information. He didn't want us to do any live testing because he knew exactly what was wrong. And we followed that pathway and it didn't work. So we switched over to live testing, and that's where we revealed
discovered where the issues were. Yep.
And had to change the spanning of their pressure transducers.
All right, we have another raffle.
Because nothing worked.
Nothing
This
worked.
is again
We're gonna.
for a
So
Milwaukee driver.
we'll wait till he's done, and then we'll do
The
that.
name on this
after.
ticket,
So
66
thank you for coming in, man. I appreciate it. So we'll wait till he's done. So.
The name's going to be Paul LaRosa.
Right.
Paul LaRosa.
So
626.
this beats 2 years ago when they had Elvis belting out tunes.
You won the raffle, Paul LaRosa. You have really good penmanship too. Not bad.
Right. This is what live broadcast gets you, though. Live broadcast. All right, Jeff. Thank you very much. You got some more stuff you want to talk about? We got time.
Oh,
wait. She's here.
I just wanted to say, I love having engineers in my classes.
Uh-huh.
I do some classes for NAVFAC, Naval Facilities.
Right.
I recently had a JPL engineer in one of my classes. I love their input, but I also love the fact that in most of them, do come up to me and do say, you know what, you were right. There's some different things we need to focus on. So there's some outstanding engineers out there that I love having in the classes.
Yeah.
But,
So we do have a couple minutes. You're actually good to 150. So if I was to talk to people, if you want to take classes that will give you real certifications, NCI is the way to go, because it's one of the few things that I'm just telling you, they're not going to give you a bunch of BS. They don't really delve into basics. By the way, when you come to the class, they're going to hit some basics, but they want you need to be knowing pretty much what you're doing when you get in there. But they were going to teach you, they're going to get rid of your bad habits.
Yep.
And that's a big thing in here. Like Jeff said earlier, there's silver bullets. We think silver bullets is going to take care of everything. And my problem in this industry is too many guys are trying silver bullets, and NCI teaches there's no silver bullets.
That's right.
We have to measure. We got to measure, and we got to measure. We got to measure it in, and we need to measure it out. That's the only way we test in, test out. And that was part of Rob's legacy too, because he developed the ASHRAE 221 standard.
That's right.
I was brought in at the late end of it and got on the board with it, but it was. I wish I'd been a little earlier on it, so I could have had a little more input for my own stuff. But it's still excellent. I think everybody should be doing ASHRAE 221, and that has been incorporated. You use the software, you guys. What's the software that we use for NCI?
Yep, Comfort Max.
Comfort Max software, and it's got the ASHRAE 221 built into it, so that if you're a contractor and you're actually looking for some software that's easy to use that will help guide you through this stuff, Comfort Max software is perfect.
Come to NCI, let us help you.
Yeah. And they're over in the tech booth today. So if you want to go over there and go talk to Jeff will be in there. Andrew's over there right now. Two great instructors. Pick their brain. There's more in this guy's brain than his little pinky has more than I got up here. So I can tell you.
About that.
Now you know a lot, man. I've done this for 48 years, but you've done a lot more than I've ever done. And on the commercial side of it, way more than I've ever done.
I have just been very fortunate to be in a lot of different sectors of this industry.
Yeah.
I being a regulatory auditor for years and a commissioning agent for aspects of NASA and other stuff. The fact that I commissioned and signed off 2 air conditioners that have been in orbit in the space station over 25 years ago, and they're still running, I love it.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Mitch, I thank you.
No, thank you, man. Jeff, excellent. Thanks.
Mr.
All right.
Gunn?
Yeah. All right. So, sir, we can squeeze you in because Larry Waters isn't here yet, so I can squeeze you. Thanks, Jeff. We'll see you. I'll come by the booth later. So, what's that? This is live broadcast right now. I'm going to stop the stream. Stop the recording. Huh? Yeah, you can leave that on. Okay, once you raise your chair up, it's lowered up since he's there. Let me raise it up for you. There you go. Okay, so you got your phone? No, so he was scheduled for almost 30 minutes. So almost 40 minutes, yeah. So scan that, and you got to fill that out. So what this is? Oh, okay. So here, hold my mic. Hold my mic. I'll do it for you here.
Good.
So you're old school. So
Yes.
where's your camera? There's your camera. So
Right.
what we're gonna do is we put that over it.
Right.
And I gotta reverse it. We got it on selfie.
I don't use selfie. I don't
There.
know how that
No,
works.
no, that's huh?
I don't know. Sometimes it does that.
Okay, let me see
You
here.
get it?
Let me see. No, that's photos. Let's go back. So we got to get you back to your camera.
It should be a reverse.
Reverse, there it is. Okay, so now then, what we're going to do is we're going to scan this.
Right.
And it should pick up. Okay, if it's not going to pick up, we'll use my phone. Here, hang on a second. We'll just use my phone.
Good.
That's the nice part about it.
So you are Mitch Bailey.
I'm Mitch Bailey, and we'll introduce ourselves real quick. We'll meet for the first time, basically. So let me get this going for you. So I'll just get that. Boom. So I'm going to have you fill this out, and he'll take that. Hey, give it a second. It's loading. So what this is just a release form. So go ahead and put your full name in. Yeah, click on that, and just put your full name in. And then go to the next line, which is your phone number. And then put your email address in real quick. And so what we're going to do, we'll talk about what you do. What you got a booth here at the show, right?
No.
No. So you do what?
I buy and sell surplus equipment all over the country.
You buy and sell what?
Surplus heating and
Oh, surplus equipment. Okay.
Hardy number
Okay.
here is I deal with
Okay. So you're coming by just with a drop in. Okay. So I'm going to start the recording. So we'll get that going. Hang on a second here. And Larry Waters is supposed to be coming by from EMH, Electrify My Home. And he's not here yet, but he's not due here to be right at about 2 o'clock. I told him 2, so we'll see if he shows up on time. Larry, this is live. Okay, so just going to hit yes. Hit the yes button. Okay, before you submit, let me look at this real quick, make sure everything got. So how do you pronounce your first name?
Stephen.
Steven. Okay, so we got you as Ateven. So you got fat fingers. You got fat fingers, so what I'm going to do is,
Stephen Lazar.
so let me just put Steven. Okay, Steven Lazar. Okay, and then we're going to hit submit. Okay, you're good. So you're fine now. All right, so go ahead and pick up the mic. Okay, Steven,
Yes.
I'm Mitch Bailey. You're
I'm
Steven
Mitch
Lazar
Steven
from
Lasco.
So Lasco.
Corporation, but we go short Lasco Corp.
Lasco Corp. And what do you guys do? What's your
We
product?
are the premier company in the HVAC industry, helping distributors and manufacturers turn surplus, excess, obsolete heating and air conditioning equipment into working capital.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, see, with all the line changes now,
So if they have some, so what do you do with it? Do you take it out of country and sell it? Or
I have customers in Miami, goes to South America,
Oh, so
but all
goes
over.
in it.
No,
Okay.
but I have surplus people throughout the country, in
Right.
in Michigan, also in Missouri, in Georgia. So I have a couple areas. Not only do I buy the surplus excess equipment, but I deal with big chillers.
So do you pick it up, or they got to ship it to
I
you?
take care of shipping.
You just take care of the
So
shipping?
it goes sell by. So when I negotiate deals with distributors and manufacturers, it goes directly from the seller to my customers.
Okay. So because you're buying surplus equipment and stuff, you're not buying used equipment.
I do with chillers
Okay.
and boilers. I
So-
deal
so-
with
so big
demolition
equipment,
companies.
Somebody's taking out a
And taking
boiler
out. Now,
or a
even
chiller.
I have right now 4 1,000-ton brand New York chillers that I'm selling for $450,000. They go for $1 million
Right.
with a 2-year lead time.
Right.
I have 2 York 600-ton. Now for $400,000, they go for $800,000. So we buy and sell. We save people a lot of money, but with the lead time right now,
Right. So that's the big thing. is
that's
the
a
lead
big
time.
thing. If they had a project and they needed this,
Slow boat to China from China no, for most of the
oh
parts
yeah,
of this stuff.
and
so.
it would take forever.
Right.
So again, I'm here. I'm in Arizona.
Right.
So I came here specifically to talk to distributors. A lot of them
So
here.
do you have a website? You wanna
Yes,
get,
it's
you wanna-
LascoCorp.com.
Lasco Corp. It's
LAZCORP.com.
And is there a number they can call you guys at?
Yeah,
Is it 800?
602-615-7479.
Okay.
I have a couple numbers, but that's my cell.
Okay. Okay.
So what I tell people is if you have a surplus inventory, and I've talked to people here, Siegler, Ari Michael, many of them have a
if you
lot.
need to get rid of it.
Send me an email to
Move this stuff.
lascocorp@gmail.com
Yeah.
in an Excel spreadsheet. I will give you an offer. We will wire the funds and pick up the equipment.
Cool. That sounds like awesome.
Well, I've been in this a long time.
How long has Lasco been
Graduated
around?
San Diego State in 1979. I went to work for my father's heating and air conditioning company called
Right.
Airwise. I did that for 7 years. I started a wholesale company called Speedway Supply. And then I changed it to Lasco because rather than having a big warehouse,
Right.
I now sell by. And I've been doing that for about 15 years.
Okay. So you a lot of this stuff is being shipped overseas, or a lot of it does ship around just the country.
Around the country. I
Right.
do both. Now, for example, the 13 SEER units,
Right.
I'm working with a company now that has a large quantity of 13 SEER Duquesne, 3.5 ton, 4 ton,
Right.
5 ton. They'll go to Miami and they'll
So-
go to South America.
So what's the small? You guys do you deal in mini splits too? You guys have?
I have right now about 2,000 mini splits available out of California,
Right.
where I'm selling a mini split for about $479. But I have to sell a minimum about 50 systems.
Right. You got to buy in bulk, basically.
Yeah, that's what I do. But with the big stuff, I don't. But with the unitary, but again, I like a guy who has a carrier inventory. I'll sell it to my customers at 50% of distributor cost. They wire me the money. I wire the seller the money and ships directly from the seller to the buyer. So I cover literally from a mini split to a 2,000-ton chiller.
So are you moving it typically? Do you have a storage facility that you guys?
No,
ship
I don't
to?
warehouse.
You don't
That's what I'm
warehouse
telling you.
other stuff.
It
So
goes-
you're basically finding a buyer.
I know the
that somebody
buyers.
wants to sell something. So
Well,
you're
have,
putting two people
no,
together.
I have relationships with these companies.
Relationships,
I've been
okay.
dealing with them for years, so they know Lasco is the place to save money. So that's why they wire me in advance. No one does that. But why I get the deals, and I have to buy it right because I have to sell it right.
Yep.
But I wire them the money. I pick up the goods. Now the challenge sometimes, and I moved out from Train, from Daikin, from Fujitsu Ream. So when I send the purchase order and now it ships, sometimes it could be 10 to 15% off. Okay, because it's a moving target.
Right.
So now we got to do some adjusting, credits back and forth. But for the most part, I have a very good reputation. We're a Hardy member. We're the only Hardy member in the
You wanna
industry.
explain what Hardy is?
Heating and Air Conditioning Wholesale Association. That is the largest wholesale association of distributors and manufacturers in America. And they're having their national conference in Atlanta first week in December. So we actually have a booth there.
Yeah.
And so these are the principals of the distributors and the manufacturers that will be there, and I'll be talking to them. I came here specifically more to talk to the distributors here, like I talked to Siegler,
Right.
Ari Michael. They all know me.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're arranging the shipping and all the other stuff, you use a third-party shipper typically.
Yes, I
You don't have
arrange.
your own-
No,
your
no,
own
no, no.
shipping or anything.
I
Okay.
use brokers. I'd like to ship in truckload because when you deal LTL,
Oh, yeah.
the
Well, it's
stuff
just-
gets
yeah.
damaged.
You shipping them by train?
It's
rail?
too slow.
Too slow.
So I have, I get trucks now with the chillers. I deal with flatbeds. I sold 3 870-ton chillers to my customer in Texas that came from Panther Stadium, and they were canceled. So it went from there to my guy in Texas,
Okay.
and he turns around and sells it to major companies. So, and he refurbishes. These were new, so he didn't have to refurbish them.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by the booth. And I'm sorry that we didn't have you scheduled in because I didn't know you were.
No, but I didn't know you existed.
Yeah.
So I just saw you, and I said, well,
So this has been live streamed. So what I'm going to do is, because you filled out that little form, I can send you
email.
the
Can you email the video?
Yes, I can.
I have 22,000, by the way, on my LinkedIn account.
Okay.
So I could promote you on the LinkedIn.
Okay. So fantastic. And if you guys need to sell some equipment or you need some equipment, contact Lasco. Maybe he can help you out.
LascoCorp@gmail.com. Anything you need to sell or buy or save money, we're available to help you.
Okay. Well, thanks again. Thanks for stopping by the
Thank
booth.
you. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Thanks, Stephen. All right.
Okay.
Oh, it went great. Let me stop the recording. And we're still streaming. We're live streaming. you want to go see if you can get Larry Waters to come over. He's over in the tech booth. And he's supposed to be here right next to NCI. Yeah, just say, hey, Larry, don't forget, you got to be here. So we're waiting for Larry.
I'm glad Larry wasn't here. He got me
Yeah, I squeezed you in.
here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch it, it's live streaming right now. You can subscribe right there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, looks like since this is the thing about being live, sometimes you just have to sit there and generally talk. So this is, I'm going to talk a little about, I had to give John Dalton was sick today. And so the class that John was supposed to talk about the educational opportunities and training that's out there and continuing education and training in this industry. And one of the things that I brought up is this is a golden age of heating and air. What am I talking about? Heating and air, we have some of the best tools available today. And later on today, we're going to have TrueTech tools come into the booth. Eric's going to be in here, and he's going to talk about that TrueFlow grid. He's going to bring a TrueFlow grid, and he put it in demo mode. We're going to show how it works and why it's such a benefit. But these kind of tools that are available now for all techs and contractors out there makes our job so much easier. And I told these guys, you're in a golden age. And not only that, there's more training that IHACI has that you can get through NCI, that you can get through the tech program. There is a plethora of training. Some of it is low cost or no cost. And all this training, as John Dalton would say, to become a world-class service technician, get to know what you work on. And taking these classes gives you one leg up on everybody else. I'm going to tell this story because we got to kill a little bit of time, but it's a great story. Nate, North American Technician Excellence, and that's what we train to here at IHACI. Nate came around in 1997, and I was actually we became a premier dealer for Lennox in 2000. There's Larry. He just shows up. Okay. Bob went to go get you because you weren't here yet. So, and I was just.
I didn't remember where you were. I knew you were next to a white truck.
I said next to the IHACI booth. So
Great.
just follow the big line, by the way. Come on in, Larry. So who's this? She gonna come with you?
This is my wife, Heather.
Wife. Oh,
This is
pleasure to meet you.
This is my very patient wife, Heather.
Okay. Did you want to be on camera? No. Did you want to raise your seat up? It's dropped down again. You got one of those at the.
I got the decompression.
Yeah, go up. There you go. Now you're fully
yeah.
fully
Now I'm as tall as you are, man.
Right. So here, take a mic. Wait,
right.
before you take a mic, pull out your phone and scan that for me.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do, and Bob's probably still looking for you right now. He's not over here. He'll come back in a second. He's just monitoring, make sure everything's live. So we're doing live broadcast right here. And just fill out the form.
Look, it's got autofill on here and everything.
So yeah, you can. A lot of times you can. So when you get to the, just hit yes and submit, and you're good.
All right, we're in.
We're good. Okay,
in.
cool.
I've
So
told
you're
you.
all legal now. I can film you, and
All right.
I don't have to pay you a nickel.
All right, well, good.
That's what it all comes down to.
Right on.
All right. So let's do the introductions.
Okay.
I'm Mitch Bailey here, and let me start a recording real quick first. So we're going to record this, so it's all recording right now.
Okay.
So I'm here with Larry Waters from EMH. What is EMH?
Electrify my home.
Okay. Thanks for coming into the booth, by the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about electrifying California, basically what it comes down to, and some of the stuff that EMH does, and how they are supported through tech, right? Tech supporting
Yep.
a lot of the stuff that you guys do. And so what I want to do is just kick it off, and I'll let you talk about your company first, and that
Okay.
way if you want to describe what EMH is, how it does its things, and what's the benefits that a customer gets out of using EMH. So,
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity because
Yeah.
you're like the god of this. I watch all kinds of your videos
Oh,
when
yeah.
I'm stumped. I'm just telling you, right? Especially the load calc videos. You've got great load calc.
so
videos
you
out
only
there.
have a few of those, and
Yeah?
people always ask me questions, but I usually answer them, and I'll say, "Oh, I'll make a video on this too," but I never get around to it.
Yeah, they're super helpful. And
So-
the other guys at the office, I've said, go look at Mitch Bailey, and if he can't answer your question, come to me. So my name is Larry Waters. I am the founder of Electrify My Home. I started this company in 2020.
right before 2 weeks to stop the spread. Good timing on all that, right?
Yeah, that's just perfect for that. Yes, I know. It's killed a lot of businesses over time.
So it worked out good for me in the strangest way, because in 2019 I knew I was going to start this business, and I said I don't want all the windshield time that I was getting from the other company I was at.
Right.
So I built a really cool virtual assessment program on my website. So I had that in my back pocket when that hit.
I remember that when I took some of the training.
Mm-hmm.
You said, "Yeah, we don't do a live go out and look at that. We do a live face-to-face, or what do they call it? FaceTime.
A virtual assessment.
Virtual assessment where the people walk around the house, they show you things, they talk about, and then you see if it fits your business model, right?
Yeah, and what we do is we have them go on our website. They fill out a really, I think there's 30 questions on there about their house, upload some pictures. When they're done with that, it sets an appointment for myself or my other representative at the company. And we actually meet with them virtually for up to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on how many questions they have. And by the time we're done, we actually have a quote ready for them. And then that establishes their budget numbers. And then once they approve those budget numbers, then we go out and invest our time at their project. So we don't generally see our customers' homes, and other than virtually, until we actually have an agreement with them that they're going to move forward.
So that was like on my end of it. We like to do a lot. I do testing. I used to do test ins on all the houses I do, or I still do test ins on all the houses I do. And this involved process. It's 2.5 hours. I'm going to measure the house. I'm going to measure airflow. I'm going to measure duct leakage. I'm gonna do everything in the house, do a load calculation and everything else. I would have to wait till I get a signed contract before I do that. Mm-hmm. And later on here, we're going to have quality residential HVAC service coming here as we talk about how that pays us to do that ahead of time. We can do all that stuff. So why is it important that people electrify their homes?
Well, I think the moratoriums in California are the big thing that are gleaming on us, right? In the Bay Area where we're at, the 9 Bay Area counties, no more gas water heaters after 2027, no more gas furnaces after 2029. No more statewide 2030. So if you have a system that lasts past the date of the moratorium, you're going to have to electrify and put a heat pump in anyway.
Yes.
It makes more sense to do it now when there's incentives, and $2024 are going to go a lot further than $2030 are going to go. We just know that based on how inflation works, right? So it's always a good time to do it. And the quicker you do it, the faster you're going to enjoy the benefits of a more comfortable, quieter, safer, just amazingly comfortable.
We don't have the hazards that you have.
We don't have all the hazards,
carbon monoxide.
Right.
We don't have any of that kind of problem, so we can keep the customer safe.
And so where we're a little bit different is we're also an electrical contractor as well. So
you're a C10 then, huh?
Yeah, so we're C10 and a C20, and we come in and we'll scope out all the electric loads that need to be converted from gas, and we'll pre-wire for the other ones. A lot of my customers are doing a heat pump this year, heat pump water heater next year. We put in a lot of car chargers this year, you know? So it's just whatever needs to be electrified in the house, getting away from the gas is the ultimate path.
Full electrification in the home.
Full electrification.
So.
And then doing it efficiently.
And then there are incentives to do that.
Yeah.
What kind of incentives do we have that's out there that some of these people could take advantage of, some of the customers?
Well, I mean, there's the tried and true ones like Tech Clean California's got a really nice $1,000 off a system. Yeah. And then there's tax credits on a lot of the systems, depending
up to $2,000 typically for most.
Depending on the efficiency.
Efficiencies, yes.
Some of my customers, I heard this the other day, Mitch. Customer they weren't my customer yet, but they got a bid from a contractor that was going to put in a standard system and told them they would get a $2,000 tax credit.
Oh, no, you can't get that.
And I'm like, no, that's not the way it is. I had to show her the documentation. So I know that's still going on out there. And it may not be that the contractors know that's wrong. It may be that they just don't know what's right. So I like to think things aren't nefarious, but there's those incentives. And then now we've got the HERA that's finally coming out after 2 years of promises. Program. It's very income based.
So if you do the multifamily, though, you have to have prevailing wage on that. And that's one of the things that it's going to kick me out of the loop on it.
That's a problem. And there was some conversation that we might need to do that on residential projects, but they fixed the language on all that.
Yeah, so on the residential, that's great, because if they're not doing HERA doesn't require it, then that'll work for us. But we have a big project that we're doing down in, we're changing out a bunch of water heaters through tech, on a multifamily apartment, 75 water, going to switch over to heat pump water heaters. We've been dealing with the city of Fresno, and they're just dragging their heels big time. we finally got through all that process, and then they wanted to apply for some of the HERA money. I got an email saying, you get the funds, and all this has to be prevailing wage, and it just doesn't pencil out.
It doesn't pencil out.
It doesn't pencil out.
Well, what do you think about dealing with the cities now? It's gotten so much
most
more
of the
complicated.
time, I tell you what, the only city I'm having a problem with right now is Fresno. And in fact, we actually, this is a third-party facilitator that put this package together and contacted us. We bid the project, but I said I'm not doing any of that stuff. And the city threw up so many red flags. They go, we need a set of plans. We need line drawings for all the apartments. We need, and I mean just one thing after another. Oh, is there enough loads? So they had to hire a mechanical engineer to come out and check everything. We knew the loads were fine. We did the load calculations. We knew how big the panels were. All that stuff was going to be fine. But they wanted a C10 too. And then we actually got from the CSOB, no, a C20 and a plumber can do these. You don't have to be a C10 to do water heaters. So they said, oh, okay, we'll let that happen. We want line drawings. We want plans. We're changing a water heater.
Yeah,
we're not rebuilding the house.
And then so many. How many hours do you have involved in this now? And what are the costs going into the job that haven't even been
so
realized?
There's another $8,000 they have to spend on this project, which they did. That was just a waste of money in my book. But that, like I said, Fresno's the ones getting this problem. Yeah, you guys in Fresno, you can hear me. I hope you're listening.
Yeah, I mean the Bay Area too. The Bay Area is gone.
Give you problems down there?
They've gone sideways. And so we've learned to navigate the process.
Yeah.
But so we put in a lot of heat pump water heaters. And there's a lot of houses that are very small where they moved the tank outside the house and put a tankless on the outside of the house years ago. And they don't have a place to put a tank. So we need to go with some sort of a system outside.
You guys doing the Sandco systems, right?
So we'll do Sandcos on those. They can stand outside. But what we did on a few is we built these beautiful enclosures. Like they match the siding of the house. They're all fully insulated. They're gorgeous. And one of the cities pitched such a fit that I had to get a mechanical engineer or a construction engineer in to come
for building
and draw out what we did for basically building a tool shed and putting a water heater in.
That's basically it.
And it looks amazing. But the rub on this is that I could have went and bought the $300 one from Home Depot that's made out of metal and
they would have been fine.
And they would have been fine with it.
We're done.
Right? Yeah. So and dealing with that and then just the high cost of permits, we can't put a permit cost in as an average cost anymore. It's got to be like we have to charge you for procuring the permit, and then we have to send you the invoice for the permit because they vary dramatically depending on what the job is.
And it does. It does from jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
And my guy Alex, Alex, he's in the shop. He's banging out these site condition surveys that we have to put out there now.
Yeah.
And then we have to go on there and we have to put we are going to follow all codes in writing on the site survey.
Yeah, like you weren't going to do that.
I'm not pulling a permit anyway.
Skip this
right,
one,
right. It's just really strange and it makes it harder. And some of the towns that are really into wanting to electrify, it's almost like the building departments are working against the process, and it's really sad. So it's just another wrinkle that adds.
Are you still doing training for tech on the?
We're still doing training for tech. We still have our 3-day classes available.
Right.
We're doing another one in 2 weeks in Pomona at the Ferguson.
And that's no charge for.
That's no charge. Tech picks up the tab on that, and this is the first time this year that you don't have to be a tech joined contractor to go to the training.
You can go to the training even though you're not a joint
and
contractor.
Tech will still pay for it. It's still no cost through Tech.
Oh wow, okay.
So and that's a great class. We start with why we're going where we're going. I mean, you went to that class. That's
I was in your class. That's where I met you.
That was a great class. So it's really about why we're going where we're going, what's driving us there, what we need to do, a little bit of history of HVAC and water heaters, and just a whole bunch of technology. We're going to train people about a lot of things they've never seen before, and we're going to give them just enough information to make them curious about doing load calcs and electrical load calcs and all these things. So it's really a preliminary scrape the surface of everything.
Well, by the way, if you're doing a heat pump on your house, do a load calc. It's going to save you a lot of headaches down the road because you need to know what size you need, and sometimes. I know you're not a big fan of dual fuel, but sometimes we have to do dual fuel. We just did a lady up in Twain Hart. She needed 74,000 BTUs of heating. That's what
there's no way around it.
I can't do nothing, but I have to put a gas furnace in. She has propane. She's going to use the heat pump probably 60-80% of the time.
Right.
And then kick in the second stage when she needs it, or she needs it for defrost because she gets 2 foot of snow in where she lives.
Yeah, and that's and there's areas of the California. It's all dictated by the load calc.
Right.
Right. If we're
the load calc and how the house is constructed.
Right.
That same house that she did, if she did in Twain Hart and it was built today, she could probably get by with probably a 4-ton heat
just,
pump.
just a full-on heat pump.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the R value of the windows and
Yeah.
everything else is just not going to get there. So.
Yeah, but we still see our other companies in our area,
Mm-hmm.
like using the 400 square foot per ton rule on a house in Berkeley. And I was just talking to a gentleman that works in Phoenix, and I says, "How do you size your system?" He says, "I do load calcs on everything, but it pretty much arrives around 400 square feet per ton." And I says, "That is literally the same rule of thumb they're using in the Bay Area, where it never gets hot."
Yeah.
Right. So we've had this rule of thumb coming in, and I don't know if you know, but like the majority of HVAC systems are sold with maintenance technicians or service technicians.
Right.
So they don't have time to do load calcs. They're replacing
not
a system
doing
that's
load
not
calcs.
working. They're just not doing it.
I would say probably about 5 or 8% of the industry is doing load calcs. The other 92% are just rules of thumb.
Yeah.
They're just relying on the square footage of the house. They don't look at the age of the house. The people have changed windows. They've added insulation.
Exactly.
And suddenly that 3.5 ton they had in there before, because it was like 1,700 square feet, now we can put in a 3 ton or a 2.5 ton, and then you do the load calculation. And in a lot of instances when we do the load calcs, we find that they're actually, the heating load isn't the highest load in some of the locations.
Right.
So we can get by. We can put a 3 ton in there, and it'll work fine. Are you a fan of the 120 volt air handlers, or are you not a fan?
Yeah, we've been putting quite a bit of those in. If I'm changing a system, we do lots of cut-ins and retrofits on houses that
Right.
only had gas. So whenever we're doing one where we're replacing an existing AC, always using the 120 volt air handlers. It's just better for the load. So one of the things that we do, we practice this thing called good stewardship of the electrical panel. And that means we're going to come out and disaggregate all your new gas loads that you need to get rid of, and how you're going to do them electrically, and help the customer make decisions on what appliances might work well for them.
Yeah.
We actually install a lot of 120 volt water heaters upsized for the proper capacity.
So what size do you upsize them to typically for, let's just say they had a 40-gallon water heater before, and they got 2 showers and a kitchen and, maybe a laundry room, laundry tub.
Usually, I mean, we don't sell hardly any 50-gallon water heaters whatsoever. 50-gallon.
So they make 120 volt 50-gallon?
They make a 120 volt 50, 65, and 80.
Oh, okay.
I have 120 volt 65 in my house. I've had it in there for a couple of years. It's been fine. There's a little bit of a leeriness to
you're
it.
bumping up the and you're doing time of use on those, because
Yeah, so it's set up for those don't run time of use, but we set the tank temperature at 150. We mix the water temperature down to 120.
Yeah.
And so 65 gallons of 150 degree water is more than I'm ever going to use.
Yeah, you never use that.
We're
Even
never
if
gonna
the
use
power
that.
goes
Right.
out, you're going to have hot water for hours.
Way longer than you will if you have a tankless.
Tankless, yeah. Yeah, the tankless don't have any hot
Yeah, it's
water.
not
You got to
gonna
have
do
that
anything,
power. You got to
right?
get that generator out.
So yeah, with that heat pump water heater, I've now got, and if I put a standard hybrid in, I've got 2 water heaters in one, because if the heat pump ever goes out, I got the backup heat. And then I've got storage water in case there's ever a catastrophe and something happens, there's an earthquake, I got water to live on. And I've got water sitting there if the power goes out. There's in my opinion, no better system than a hybrid heat pump water heater.
Hybrid.
But it has to be installed right. And one of the things that we teach in our class is heat pump water heaters are application specific, and that we really need to pay attention to what machine we're putting in what application, so that we can give it its maximum efficiency,
Right.
and also have it actually work in heat pump for as long as it should.
Right, and those ones typically with the 220 volt, you guys are doing time of use, so
Lots
the
of-
customer's
yeah.
taking advantage.
Right.
I'm going to run it all get that water hot, and then at night when the power price goes up, that I can get that.
Yeah,
I can use that
basically,
stuff.
sets itself back to a really low temperature between
Right.
4 and 9. So
Yeah.
we're load shifting, right? We're going to take advantage of all that extra solar power that's on the grid that we're basically turning off during the day. We're going to store it into our water tanks, and we're going to use that in the evening, and we're just load shifting. It's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
So heat pump water heaters are a battery. A good thermally sealed house is a battery.
Right.
And then people have solar batteries, right?
Right.
So you can build yourself a nice electrification island on a house and have very low operating costs.
And so what's your advice, 2-stage, single stage, or variable speed?
Really because of the way we engineer the systems and because where we are, we mostly do inverter systems, and I sell a bunch
Right.
of different brands. And we look at the load calc, and we look at the minimum load as well as the high load.
Right.
And we try to find one that's going
So
to
you're
give
looking
me
at
a good low minimum load.
Right.
So my whole thing is we tighten up the house. We get all the furniture charged up and warm, and I only need to use a little bit of energy to keep it there. So I really look at the heat pumps we're installing like a battery charger. When they're running full blast, they've got jump start mode. When they're running really slow, it's like trickle charge mode.
Right.
And then we tell our customers, hey, if you're going to use a setback, use it between 4 and 9 p.m. Don't turn it off during the day and come home at 5 o'clock and turn this thing off when the power's expensive.
So I had an old lady a couple of years ago when we switched her over to a heat pump. It took a lot to convince her because all her neighbors has gas furnaces. And we switched over to heat pump. And my guy came in the spring, was pulling the maintenance. He come and he says, Mrs. Johnson wants me to give you a kiss. I said, say what? She goes, she compares her bills to all her neighbors, and her house is set at 75 year-round, doesn't touch it, just let it do its thing, and her bills are half of what her neighbors are.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know, heat pumps and electricity have gotten a bad rap.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them aren't installed right. And it really comes down to the fact
they're
that they're
oversized.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And when you're running at 100%, they're going to go into defrost.
Yeah.
They're going to be pulling out all that moisture out of the air. It's freezing it out on the coils, and then they're going to defrost. Now we do need supplemental heat strips. Now we're running it. 2-stage. Breaks a little bit of that. Variable speed, we don't have to worry about it. In the off cycle, typically during the off cycle, it's going to melt off because it's only running 30, 32, 35%.
Yeah.
It's not going to build the ice at 100% like it was when it was running in heat mode.
And then it shuts off the indoor fan during
the indoor fan. Right.
Well,
you can. Some of the brands now we can actually run the indoor fan, so we can, if you want to. But typically, though, with the shut off, you can shut them off too. So, and again, a house has a thermal mass, and if you get that house warm, it's going to stay warm. It's not going to get cold instantly. So you don't need heat strips. We can go in and we can just put in a nice variable speed, let the customer set it, forget it. And it'll do everything it needs to do. Maintain the temperature. That's what it needs to do.
You know, it's funny. I live in Vacaville. It gets pretty hot up there.
Yeah.
And I took out
Vacaville doesn't get hot. I get hot where I
live. Yeah. You're Fresno. It's a different level.
No, we're in Modesto.
Yeah.
But that's
all right. Well, sorry about that. Yeah. I know that's
Fresno gets hotter than I do.
Contention.
So,
yeah. It gets pretty hot, and we have a high cooling season. And I took out my 12-year-old train system and I put a Mitsubishi in. And my system uses less energy over the entire year than I was using just keeping my house cool in the summer.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm heating and cooling the house for what it was costing me to cool the house before. And I'm comfortable, right? So I got rid of my gas meter about a year ago. So I have a heat pump in the garage. I got the heat pump. I got everything,
Right.
I have a storage battery and just 4.5 kilowatts of solar.
So PV, how much PV? It's 4.5?
I got 4.5 kilowatts.
Okay.
Not enough. I found out since I've electrified things. So I'm changing all the panels. I'm going to go with 7.5. But this year I had a $1,800 true-up bill.
So your true-up was $1,800?
$1,800, and I have no gas bill. So my next-door neighbor was complaining to me that she got a $700 electric bill during the 3-week heat wave that we had. And I was going, okay, well I pay 3 times that for the whole year, less than, right?
Right.
So and I have a modest solar system on the house. So it is possible to electrify a house and have it use much less energy. It just people need to pay attention. And it might not be your gas guy that's going to do it. If you've got a company that's been maintaining your gas furnace for years, that's probably not the guy you want to talk to for your heat pump. You got to find a heat pump guy like your company is or our company is, and somebody that knows the stuff because they're different. And if anybody out there's ever ridden an electric car versus a gas one, it's much more of a different driving experience. Having a heat pump in your house that's properly sized is a different living experience.
Right. So on inverter systems, we don't have to worry about it. But if they have a generator, or if they have solar, PV, and a battery backup, they should put in a soft start kit on all their units so that they're not.
Oh, absolutely. Anything that's going to have a big load should have a stop start kit, especially if you have battery backup.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that people don't think about is they'll go, I need a new heat pump because I got these batteries and the solar installed. But when your house is cruising on battery during peak hour and you're starting up a 65 amp compressor every 40 minutes because it wasn't sized right.
Like a big dog.
Yeah, plus it has to switch back and forth and make the machine work like it's supposed to. You really need to optimize that energy use.
Exactly. So you want to talk a little bit about your company and when was it founded? How big it is?
Yeah. I've been a home performance guy for about 15 years. That means home performance, if you don't know, it means going in, tightening up the house, make it a little smaller so I can put smaller systems.
Right.
in.
Rick Chitwood.
Rick Chitwood's my ultimate mentor.
Yeah.
And so he taught us, along with a lot of others, that we needed smaller systems when we tighten up the house. So about 2014, 2015, I kind of went rogue and started installing only inverter heat pumps after he gave us some personal direction. My old boss at the time, before I started this company, was like, "Could you just go sell a furnace, please?" And I'm like, "I can't do that anymore. It's up here now."
So yeah, I am programmed. I
I
have
am
drank
programmed.
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
exactly.
joined the cult.
And I'm mixing up new flavors of Kool-Aid every day. So around that time, I realized as other people at the company I was working at were selling things that just didn't make any sense, and I said, you know what, we need to go into this thing wholehearted. He says, dude, I'm not into that. So I said, I'm going to start my own business.
So you opened your own
I opened
business.
this business in 2020.
Yeah.
I started with 3 guys.
Was it originally EMH?
EMH. Well, you know, it's funny. I just thought of the idea of the name. I says, if I'm going to electrify people's houses, I don't want to call it Larry's Heating and Air.
Yeah.
Right. So I got the name, I got a trademark on the name, and I got the website built before I ever told my boss I was quitting.
Oh,
right?
You're one of those.
I'm that guy. And so I got that all done, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to like pull a team with me, and I didn't want to go install this stuff, sell it, like do all this. So I went and found a company that was really close to my house, and I said, hey, you want to learn how to install heat pumps?
And so you
and
got with him.
Yeah, so what I did is I incubated my business model in his company for a year, and then when I left his company, I already had 3 months worth of work on the books. So I hired a lead installer while I was working for him. He came with me, and his wife was my office manager, and it was 3 of us for the first 6 months.
So it was a family company, basically.
Basically, except his family. Yeah. Now it's different.
So does the wife work with you in the business?
My wife works for me in the business. She's very retired. She's spent her career at Department of Corrections.
Oh wow!
And so she's got a nice retired life. So she comes in and does all of our paperwork and permits and stuff like that.
Yeah. So she handles some of the
and she works
drudgery.
Yeah, she works very part time so she can hang out with me, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably harder work than actually working.
But if she's dealing with permits and stuff like that, then. Yeah, that's just like dealing with the Department of Corrections when you got.
Yeah, it really is. She's still dealing with the public or the public entities on one side.
Jake Paul, or you got Tyson?
Jake Paul. I knew that was going to send him away.
Okay.
The big fight tonight.
I know. Oh, is it tonight?
This weekend, I think.
Oh, this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it, so. You know who's going to win.
I'm going to be somewhere else. So
Tyson's going to.
He's going to probably one punch him.
He's
I don't know. You know. Tyson's getting a little old. He's in pretty good shape, but I know with me being my age, like everything burns. I don't know. My joints burn, my eyes burn. Everything.
Yeah, but you watch
older,
Tyson train. He can outlast the guy. I can tell you right now, he'll outlast the guy. He's in good shape. So, but anyhow,
I hope he does. Coming from his class, like his age group, I hope he kicks that guy's ass. I'm probably, I don't know. I'm going to be 61 in 2 weeks.
I'm 63. So
yeah, so we're in that same class,
same
right?
age, yeah.
I think Tyson's in the same class with us.
Yeah, he's late 50s, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, we're all there, right? He's just in way better shape than I am.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
More money than either one of us is going to ever have. So.
Oh, yeah. He's going to spend more money on valet parking going to the fight than I make.
So, if you were to give a recommendation for a tech starting out in this business and whatever, what would you recommend that they learn or what they really need to concentrate on? Because if it was me, I have my, but I'll let you give yours.
Yeah, I think the technicians now really need to understand that gas isn't going to be around forever, and we really need to focus on these things. Technicians need to understand, and they need to bring this new voice into potentially the companies they're going to get hired at and say, why aren't we doing load calcs? I learned in school, or I learned in this class, we need to do load calcs to do this right, and heat pumps. Because there's some of these guys are going to go to work for these companies that don't do any of this stuff.
Right.
Right? And so they need to be the lamp for change. And they need to go to any kind of training they have time to go to for free. And the other thing the young guys need to do is when they get home from work, they need to not pick up the game controller, and they need to pick up the videos and the training and spend at least some of their time learning about their trade.
Unfortunately, most of these guys are, it's TikTok, it's 60-second videos, it's, things like that, and it's hard. And that's one of the things I'm trying to get IHACI to develop is a series of 60-second, 2-minute, 3-minute videos that breaks this stuff down into small learning.
Yeah.
And that they put on their website that's readily accessible, that people can watch and see how stuff works. So
yeah, and the young guys need to be the change, and they need to pay attention that their career is going to be their biggest thing in their life for the first few years.
Yep.
If you're 21 years old and you're coming to your boss in the HVAC business and telling him you don't have a good work-life balance,
Yep.
that's not the boss's fault. You need to learn their trade.
So we're gonna have to hold on a second. So.
Take a couple
in 2 minutes at the Hotel Divas Justin Ballroom. It's 10 strategies to increase revenue for free. Again, our next seminar of the day, 10 strategies.
Just stand by, guys. We're just going to wait for this to finish up. It's live.
The hotel next door. So that's just outside the conference center to your right, and the door to your left.
So you want to go ahead and you want to go get Rhonda? So she's supposed to be over here from Go Green. Yeah, she's late. So. No, we're fine. This is live.
Well, you know, I didn't know where to walk, so I started over there and did the whole loop. That's why I was late. Just
So Rhonda Go Green's going to come over and talk about it.
Oh,
wait,
nice.
Rhonda's there. Never mind, Bob. She's here. Sorry, didn't see her. She's standing there. So
And Go Green, how much do you use Go Green?
we use Go Green on. Gosh, it's probably 80% of the stuff we do.
Yeah.
So it's either people are paying cash,
Right.
or we use Go Green, and I don't want to take their thunder, so I'm not going to. But Go Green is a big thing with us. We've been a Go Green contractor from the start.
Yeah.
And Rhonda here is one of the CSA's customer service representatives, so associates, and so she talks to my daughter all the time. My daughter is always doing stuff. You met
I
my
love your daughter. How's she doing?
She's doing great.
Good,
She's doing
good.
great, you know.
All the
With
same guys still at the company? You got a great crew at your company.
Just about most of them are. Yeah, there's
Good,
a couple
good.
guys that left. A couple guys that went to some commercial stuff,
Nice.
and you know we've but most everybody else is still at the shop. So you know.
Yeah, when I met everybody from your company, you brought them all to the training. It's very much a family. Everybody was like family. I was really
Yeah.
impressed by that.
Yeah.
You guys are really good.
Well, I mean, we try. So,
Yeah, yeah.
know,
You could
and
tell
some of
they-
my guys have been with me for 20 years.
Yeah.
So Bob, 24 years. So he's, you know, it's like you say, when you start in a company, you develop those relationships. You get the people that last, and they stay with you, and
Yeah.
they do the job. So
Yeah, it's really
you're only as
impressive.
good as the people that work for you, typically. So
Absolutely. You know, and that's been hard. We were talking about that a minute ago. They have a really good speaker here.
I like right over. It's right there. So. So we're going to let Rhonda in here in a second.
Okay.
And
I'll just say goodbye to you.
so I'll just wait till he's done, and then hopefully he's done. He's done? Okay, he's done talking. All right, so we're going to close this out for this is the great part about when you're doing live broadcast. This is what you got. Last year, 2 years ago, they had Elvis belting out tunes, and it sucked. It was.
I know.
I had to stop every so many minutes just to let
Yeah.
him- And then it got blocked because of the Elvis tunes.
Oh, wow.
So YouTube was blocked. These are all live streaming. As long as nobody comes by playing music, we should be fine. So and
Oh,
you-
great, because of the trademark thing. Oh, my
yeah,
goodness.
it got
you gotta
blocked
worry about
right
all
away.
that.
I mean, it was blocked that day. At the end of the day, I could access it personally because
Yeah.
I couldn't see it otherwise.
Oh, that's funny.
So if you're you're advising techs, they learn about the technology and stuff to do that. So if it was me, you guys need to learn about heat pumps, how they work, load calculations need to be done in every house, and get to know what you work on, as John Dalton would say.
Absolutely. You got to know your product, and you got to spend some of your off time building your career. I've got a guy, I'll leave you on this. I got a guy I hired for $18 an hour. He had 6 months experience, no schooling. Came into the trade. He is now my lead guy after 3 years.
And now he's getting $16.50.
Yeah. Actually, he's gone from that to $42 an hour. He's
Yeah.
23 years old.
Yeah.
So
You
when
can do
you
this.
come to a company and you do it and you hammer it, the boss is going to love you and they're going to pay you what you're worth.
The-
But I've also got guys that have come to work and they're just there kind of for a paycheck. Don't do that. Build your career. Take the time when you're young to get into this stuff. Get serious about
Right.
it, and you're going to go places.
Yeah, because he's got 20 years in front of him.
He's got all these young. I love young kids working for me. I've been able to train them all up very well. Anyway, Mitch, thank you so much
No,
for the
thank you,
opportunity.
Larry.
I really love what you're doing
Appreciate
out
you
there.
coming in.
You're one of the best guys
And
out there. And
Thanks a million. I will stop the recording right now, and then what we will do is if you got a thumb drive, you can come by and pick it up later.
Okay.
Or if you want, I can just send it to you, email it to you, but it'll be like WeTransfer because it's going to be like 200 megabytes.
Yeah, just or send me a link to it,
Yeah.
and I'll put it on my YouTube page.
Well, not a link. I'll send you the video.
Okay.
the video and everything.
Okay.
Thanks again,
All right,
Larry.
Mitch.
All right.
Nice seeing you, man.
All right. Come on down, Rhonda. Rhonda. You know, when you drop your phone like that, that's why we can't have nice things. Okay, I'm going to put the seat up. For some reason, the gas thing on it keeps going down, so if you do it. Okay, so Rhonda, if I could get you to scan this little form here with your phone and fill out the form. Basically, it's a filming release form, but also enables me, because I'll have your email address, to send you a copy of the video, okay? So this is still live broadcast. How's the live broadcasting look? Looks good? Okay. So we're still live broadcasting, and how many people are watching does it show? Usually you can see that, it'll tell you. Okay. And then you got to answer yes to the one question at the bottom. So, and then hit submit button, and you're good. All right, you're done. What's that? Okay, so it doesn't matter. It will go out in the broadcast. Okay, if you want to keep this just about this far from your mouth, so your voice, that way we can hear you when you're talking. Okay, and Rhonda, what's your last name? I'm sorry.
Williams.
Rhonda Williams.
Yes.
Thank you for coming into the booth.
Of course.
Let's shake hands so we can introduce. Okay, and Rhonda here is with Go Green. So Go Green Financing is a industry supported by the IOUs, the investor-owned utilities, and they have gone in, bought down the electric rates. They've bought down the credit scores. They go through local credit unions, and they have some that go statewide, so that you have your choice of credit unions. They have a very excellent rate. Customer applies for it themselves online.
Absolutely.
Let me start the recording before I go too far. Customers apply for these loans online themselves, and also you can do 5, 10, or 15 years, and it's all energy related. So,
absolutely.
What's your role at the company? Or role at Go Green?
So my role is contractor engagement. So I'm the person that you talk to when you need help with the program.
Right. So I'm going to have you turn a little this way, so the camera can see you. So
I'm trying to be personal.
I know I'll lean forward a little bit so we can talk, and you can look over at me, but just a little
look
bit
at the camera.
At the camera.
Gotcha.
So I can also put it on this other camera. So let me put it on the other camera, and it's got both of us. So we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So so you're the contractor liaison.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
fancy French word for you guys, by the way. And the contractor liaison. So if I have a problem, do I call you, or is it generally that you call us or email us?
Well, either way. I'm here to help either way it goes. So usually when contractors first get signed in, or they have questions about signing up with the program, who am I supposed to use? How do I use the program? I would be the one that they would contact.
All right, cool. And then when it comes down to how many contractors do you think are right now participating in the... Okay, we're going to have to hold a second.
Right.
Welcome to live broadcasting. It's a timeout. Okay, this is Danny giving it right now. So.
Area code, not sure where that is from, 559, but the name is
559 is
Antonio Enema.
Fresno, yeah. Fresno, Bakersfield. Bakersfield.
You do have to be here to receive it, so try to get over to the IHACI booth so we can hook you up. If it goes unclaimed, we'll call somebody else. This is Antonio, M as in Mary, area code 559 on your phone number. Good luck.
All right, okay, we're back. Back live. Welcome to live broadcasting right here from the IHACI Trade Show. Okay, I had to do my Ron Burgundy. So, how many contractors do you think are right now involved with it?
Roughly, I think we're close to 2,000.
2,000 contractors. Yeah. And so you have to be an approved contractor, but how does the onboarding to become an approved contractor for?
Really simple. They would just go to gogreenfinancing.com, fill out the application. There is some compliance training that you have to take, whether you're residential or commercial.
And this is all online, though?
This is all online, gogreenfinancing.com. and you would just go to be a partner. So partner resources is where you want to go. You fill out an application. You want to take the compliance training, which is basically telling you about the program, the process, how it works, the do's and don'ts. You complete that. Of course, you have to pass it. You also provide us with your CSLB license number.
Right.
And you need general liability insurance.
So what kind of aggregate do they have to have typically? 1 million?
$1 million.
$1 million general
Per
aggregate?
occurrence.
Right,
Yep,
okay.
you got it.
Per occurrence. And a valid C20.
Valid license.
Or not C20 because it sells to general contractors.
General,
It doesn't
you can
matter.
be a B.
So that's the nice part about
Yeah.
Go Green is it covers, you want insulation, it'll cover it. It's got to be over a dollar amount. What's the minimum dollar amount?
The minimum is $1,500.
$1,500 now. Okay, it used to be like $2,500.
Yeah.
I think they
But we have some new
lowered it.
lenders now that will do as low as $1,500. We do have an appliance lender there that does as low as $1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever the customer applies for it online themselves, approval process is going to be dependent upon the actual credit union they go through. But
It
typically, what do you guys usually see a turnaround for a?
Usually a turnaround, if their credit is excellent, of course, we're probably going to get an instant approval. But usually no more than 24 hours, unless there is some challenges.
Right.
Now, that really just depends on the customer and how responsive they are as well.
So, in my case, my instance, if a customer comes to me and wants financing, I have to dial ahead of time in my price to provide them 9.9%, which is, they got way better rates at Go Green, that I have to provide 5% of the price to buy down the rate to get the 9.9%. So if you come to me and you say, hey, here's, I want to finance it, and you give them, then they say, oh, no, I'll just pay you a check. I give them a 5% discount. When they do Go Green financing, we give them a 5% discount because there's no fees charged to me.
Right.
So and the turnaround process for us, typically, once we get our final on a job, we're usually done within. I'll just get a check within like 2 or 3 days. So it's not like we have to wait for money a long time.
Right. Absolutely.
And now, so the customer does have to have a permit for every job they do.
Right, really depending on what it is. We understand that there are some jobs that don't require a permit, but for most of these jobs you will.
Right, and so like they don't get a permit if they're doing, and you'll cover even like if they're going to do
window replacement,
or if like doing sod.
Right.
You'll cover the AstroTurf or whatever that you don't need to water it. So that's an energy saving thing for the state of California. We're trying to save water.
Exactly.
So it'll cover things like appliances. It'll cover insulation, windows, cool roof if you're doing that, HVAC. Of course, water heaters if you're going to a higher efficiency water heater.
And now solar.
Oh, it's covering solar now. Okay, I didn't know that. So,
and now solar.
And it's an easy process that the customer can do themselves. And if we run into problems, my daughter, she'll usually jump in and help out.
All right, so
we're going to take a break here.
Amazon gift card.
Hang on a second.
We're
Live
waiting
TV.
for Antonio M. This is with an area code 559 as a cell phone number. Antonio M. If you're here, you just want an Amazon gift card worth $100. Not too bad. But if you're not here, we may have to draw another name. So Antonio M. Area code 559 for your phone number. Come by the IHACI booth and pick your prize.
By the way, if you guys haven't come down here, they're giving away prizes. Get down here to the IHACI Trade Show. Get in the raffle. Might win something. They're giving away some pretty nice stuff. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I lost my train of thought, whatever I was talking about, because I was wanting that Amazon gift card myself. So the customer applies for this online themselves. They take out, if they run into a problem, it's typically my daughter will get involved and she'll call and talk to you guys. You've dealt with my daughter before.
Absolutely.
She's like our office manager. But so when there's a problem with any of the customers or anything that we're dealing with that has to do with Go Green, we make a call. And usually it's resolved in just like a few hours or a few minutes. It's usually something insignificant. It's usually, we got to provide something or something for that, or maybe the customer.
Paperwork. The customer needs to sign something.
Right.
It's usually that. Anytime that a loan gets hung up, and it's mostly because just a piece of paper hasn't been signed.
So there's also a benefit for Go Green, and if you become a approved contractor, they put you on a list of contractors that are
All
approved.
right, one more time for the $100 Amazon gift card, Antonio M. As in Mary.
I apologize.
Area code 559. Please come up and claim your prize.
What happens?
So,
That's,
In the meantime,
we're live.
we'll draw another name.
so we'll give them a
So
chance.
this is
There.
also
happens.
for a
It's okay.
$100 gift card.
So about 2 years ago, they had an Elvis impersonator that was
This is going to be for
belting out Elvis tunes. So we're doing a live broadcast, and so I'd start, and then suddenly he'd start singing. Well, the problem was this was all live. YouTube blocked it because of all the Elvis songs. Yeah, they came in and blocked it.
And claim your prize. And Jose Lopez, area code 319.
All right, cool. He's over now.
Yep.
All right, hopefully, yeah, every 15 minutes I think they're doing one. So we're trying to. I wish there was some. What I wanted to do was put it in the lobby, but they wouldn't let me put my booth in the lobby and actually do the interviews in the lobby.
Yeah, that would be so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
for
What
you.
part of it was, we don't have any room, and also, so now I got just a little corner. I got
Yeah.
it right there, but they said no.
Oh no.
So maybe next year because.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you guys write iHacking, tell them put me in the lobby next year so that you guys can do that. Okay, so we'll have it all next year. All right. So with Go Green, because again we give a discount when we do it, that's a benefit to the customer. So we actually put that as a line.
I knew it.
Okay, so that was Larry Waters. He was making jokes over here. So anyhow, if you are looking to be a contractor and become one, go on board with these guys because I'm telling you, we use it. It's probably, like I say, 80% of the stuff we do is through Go Green or they're paying cash. Very rarely do we use Wells Fargo anymore or any of the other ones. But it's too easy for the customer. It's too easy to get approved. In fact, we're finishing a job right now. I think the guys that they applied through Go Green got approval like 2 days later. We're all ready to go. Full approval. It'll cover all kinds of different energy stuff for your home. And the nice part about it is it's real easy to apply for and get.
Right.
It's easy to be onboarded and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Real easy for somebody to get involved because, in the industry, you have to have a certain amount of years in business in order to work with a lot of these finance companies. But with Go Green, we just do a background. We want to make sure that your license is great. You don't have any citations. There's no problems with the BBB. If you got that and you've got your insurance, we'll take you on.
Right, and it's really good for everybody. So, is Go Green? I mean, how many people work at Go Green actually?
Ooh, let's see. We're really small. So there's 4 on the engagement side. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on the engagement side that work with me. Then we have the director, Donica Wilson. We have our marketing, which is Christy and Lucas. So yeah, I want to say about 10.
10 people?
Yeah,
So it
we're
is pretty small.
small.
I thought you guys were bigger than that.
No. I mean, as far as the day-to-day workings, of course, there's behind-the-scenes people that approve things and deny things.
Right.
But actually working the program, doing the marketing, doing the contractor engagement, and the application processing, yes. 10.
Right. And so this is not a PACE program either.
Right.
Whereas they do not lien your house. There's no lien on your home. It's unlike the PACE programs where they would go in and they'd slap a lien on your home, which
That's
makes
right.
it harder to sell. You have to
Exactly.
pay it off and all of this stuff. Do they get is their credit dinged when they do this?
Yes, it is a hard credit inquiry.
Okay.
But because we have such great rates and the minimum credit score is 580.
Yeah, so that's
You know,
really good.
so-
580 is hard to get.
Yeah.
In fact, when I do second looks, I mean, I don't even think second looks will give us a 580. So that's really, really nice, one of the things that I like about Go Green though is the ease of use, because I've made videos for it, and I just send the customer a video on how to apply, and then I send them a link to your website, and then
Yeah.
they just do it online. Now there's also a commercial program now, right?
Yes.
Why don't you explain about the commercial
Yes,
program, because this is all residential we're talking
Yep.
about right now.
Mhm.
So it's easy for a resident to do it, but they had to get some machinations behind the scenes to get a commercial going, because there's a lot of a lot of guys don't change out equipment, or they go with the cheapest stuff because they can't afford it. So they'll go with not really improving the home, making energy efficient stuff. And now there's a commercial site. Go ahead and talk about the commercial site.
Yeah, so our commercial program is specifically for small businesses. We're talking SBA size small businesses, 100 or fewer, no more than 16 million in revenue. But yep, we can do all of the same upgrades when we're talking about the HVAC, windows, doors, solar also.
Right.
There's lots of restaurants use this as well because there's refrigeration.
So the refrigeration side of it, and
yes, all of that.
Upgrading like their hoods and stuff, their economizers on system,
yep.
things like
all
that.
of that good stuff.
Okay. And then for them, is it still through the credit unions, right?
It is. No, we have a different set of lenders.
Okay.
So there is a different set of commercial lenders that will help our commercial clients. And they're listed on our website as well. You would just reach out, you would call.
So I thought Tracy told me last time she was here that there's Prime Plus something, that they have a typical rate that they're doing, or is it going to be a little higher or a little less?
The rates are a little bit higher than our residential.
Right.
But of course it's according to the lender.
Yeah.
You would definitely have to reach out to the lender to find out what their rates are.
Right.
But they do provide it. You can just give them a call and say, hey, this is what I'm working on. Here's a scenario. What do you think my interest would be?
Yeah.
We used to do the interest rate buy down program, which was buying the interest rates down as low as 0%.
Yep.
Well, we've depleted those funds. So that means that people were really excited about it and they used it up.
They used it all up.
They used it up. I mean, we're hoping that we're going to get it again next year.
Oh, no, I think you will.
Yeah.
I hope you guys get it, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Say, hey, Bob, you want to go see guy at True Tech Tools, Eric, and see if he wants to come down with us, his stuff, because he's next up. Yeah. True Tech, Eric, go see him and bring him back. We'll talk to Rhonda here until you get back. True Tech's that way. So, yeah. So, trying to have just a nice steady flow of people. You were here on time, which was great, so I was able to do it. I had some guy out of the blue just come in, says he's walking through the show and says, "Hey, can you interview me?" And so we did an interview with him. So it's gonna be up there online. So how long you work for Go Green?
I've been with Go Green for 2 years now.
Okay.
So I'm a newbie.
Yeah.
But I love.
And where's your office out of?
In Sacramento.
You're in Sacramento.
Yep. Right out of Sacramento.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's been an awesome program. Got to learn a lot about just the energy efficiency upgrades and what California is really trying to do to get us more energy efficient. So that's really good, and helping lots of people, who wouldn't normally be able to afford these kind of upgrades.
And that's a big thing. I mean, this program come about. Well, so the PACE program had a lot of problems, and the PACE programs had a lot of problems because they would allow. They used to give. We would know before we go how much a person could borrow. So let's say they could borrow $50,000. So guess what the system cost?
Right.
$50,000. So, and that was a bad thing. They find that out because suddenly these people were always max funds they could borrow, or just below it, so they would clear. And so they stopped doing that because there's a lot of shifty people out there. There's a lot of companies. You got to beware. The nice part about this Go Green is contractors are approved. Can they be kicked out of the program?
Yes.
Okay, and so is it a number of complaints? Is it do you guys act as an intermediary or an arbiter in this, or is it basically, you know what, we're going to have to kick you out of the program?
Well, the reason that people would get kicked out of the program is if they're not following the rules of permitting, right? That's our biggest thing.
So not pulling a permit on a job.
Not pulling a permit on the job.
Right.
We do require what's called a CAS test if there's any gas appliances in the building.
That's what I do at my company. I'm the BPI guy. Bob, who just walked out of here, he's our NGAT guy, so either one of us can do a CAS test, but they usually just use me. So, because I'm doing the test out.
It's good to know, because I have some contractors sometimes that can't find a CAS tester, so I need to know that.
So I got that about. It was a PG&E program, and they were requiring that we do the CAS test to get the money. And so I got my BPI certification. I had Bob did the NGAT. He also got BPI, but he let that lapse. So I don't let mine lapse.
Yeah.
And so I go out and I do the testing and make sure that
good.
The nice part about it is a lot of times we're eliminating a lot of the gas appliances. We're going from a gas furnace or a gas water heater to a heat pump water heater or a heat pump furnace or a heat pump as opposed to a furnace. And so the CAS test that eliminates a lot of the testing. I mean, it doesn't eliminate it, but it does make it a lot less.
But it does. Yeah, absolutely. So those would be the two reasons that someone would get kicked out. Of course, if you have a citation, right?
Right.
You have problems with your license,
Right.
that is going to come back to Go
Yeah.
Green, and we'll say, hey, listen, you got to get this fixed.
Yeah,
We do give you an opportunity, though. We'll say you're just suspended until this gets fixed.
appeals process or something too.
All right, I got another raffle for you
Okay.
guys. I do want to go ahead and make sure I call this
He's early,
name.
by the way.
His prize. This
So
is
we'll wait
for
till he
$100
finishes.
Amazon gift card. Jose Robles with a 310 area code. Jose, you got a gift card waiting for you with your name on it. Jose Robles, 310 area code.
Live.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. So
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call another name right now. This is going to be for Savannah.
Savannah.
Tourlet.
Savannah?
Savannah Tourlet. I hope I'm getting that right.
Wow.
With an area code 661 for a phone number. Savannah, you've won a $100 gift card for Amazon. Please come back to the IHACI booth and we'll hook you up. Again, this is going to be for Susanna Tourlet, area code 661 for a phone number. Good luck.
All right. Yeah. Well, good luck. Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck, you guys.
The voice from the sky. We have to obey him. We have to obey him. I'm sorry. Can't help myself.
You know, I did forget to mention the IOUs, right? The investment-owned utility groups,
yes.
right? So those are PG&E, SoCal Gas, SoCal Edison,
Yep.
San Diego Gas and Electric.
Yep.
Now we've added the POUs, SMUD and LADWP.
Okay. So are you guys working with MID or TID soon or not? Doesn't really matter. I
We
still
don't-
got
I don't-
PG&E to the
yeah.
house, so we're typically switching
Right.
them over, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't know yet. They haven't given us any information on that, but they
Okay.
did give us the okay that we're going to be working with SMUD and LADWP, and of course Palo Alto is still with us.
Palo Alto. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Rhonda, thank you for coming into the booth.
Of
We
course.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right.
I don't know how many cocktails you guys have had, if you're still here. But I'm going to go and call another name. All right. This is going to be for
Not this one.
Ren.
Excuse me.
With a 714 area code. It's either Ron Morton or Red Morton. Area code 714 for a phone number. If you're in the building, come and claim your prize. I got a $100 Amazon.
We gotta wait a second till he's done.
Ron
Clearly.
Morton. I believe that's how it's spelled. With the area code 714 as a phone number. Good luck.
So last year I tried, we had it in here and the noise levels were very loud. But the year before that they had Elvis. And Elvis, Eric, what's the last name by the way? It's Kaiser, that's right. I had it written down. I should have just read my notes. Okay, so whenever you're ready, we can introduce you, get you started. This is live
This is
broadcasting.
live?
Yeah, so,
Hey, everybody.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
I
So-
can't hear myself.
Have you scanned this in and you filled it out?
I scanned it in, filled it out. You're all
Right.
good to go now.
You're good. Okay.
All right.
All right. So, hi, Mitch Bailey again from the IHACI booth here for the IHACI 2024 Trade Show. And I'm here with Eric Kaiser from TrueTech Tools. Eric,
Mitch,
thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
glad to stop by and
All right.
say hi to everybody
You're,
out there.
you're going to come in here and talk about some tools. You don't have to talk about any specific tool, but I see you brought something with you.
Well, I brought a really, it's a unique tool in the industry here with me.
We're going to have to hold on a second.
See how many of you guys have left. This is gonna
You
be
should have a
for
talk with
Ron
these guys.
Morales.
What's that?
You should have a talk with these guys about
Hey,
turning down the
Bob,
volume.
Bob, go talk to him. Tell him he needs to shorten it. Needs to shorten this. If he wants, bring it over to me. I'll do it.
We got a $100 Amazon gift card waiting for you. Ramon Morales.
Okay, so we're back.
We are.
We're back live from
We're
the
back
IHACI Trade
live.
Show. Get down here right now
Oh,
so you can win one of these things. Okay, so
Win something. Come
win
on down.
something. Come and win something.
We're here till 7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. What's about
Pacific,
4 hours?
Pacific time.
4 more hours. So this live stream is going to be ending here after I get. Who's this one here? I can't remember. Oh, this is Connor from Quality Residential HVAC Services. We're going to do after we're done with him. That's going to be it for us. We're going to be done for the day. Stop live streaming. I might go around and take the camera and film some booths and stuff if some people want to talk about their products and just walk around and do that. So you brought a.
I brought a really cool toy. It's unique in the industry, and I'll just show it up here to everybody. That is the digital True Flow grid from the Energy Conservatory. Little backstory on me: before I came out of the field, I spent about 11 years in the field doing various and assorted sundry things, anywhere from installations to commercial service and industrial service. This is just a tool that I wish that I had when I was working in residential service, because it allows a technician to get a very accurate airflow measurement of that equipment in a very, very short period of time. You've got an adapter there.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll work if it's an iPhone. So.
Yep. I didn't. I don't have an adapter. Yeah,
it's a C.
I should have brought over. Yeah.
So you know what we can do though?
I can't.
I brought my phone.
You got your phone?
And I do have, I think, the most updated version.
All right.
Of most updated version of TrueTech tools.
Well, have you got the
the TrueFlow Grid? Yeah.
The TrueFlow Grid app on there?
We have two of them.
There you go.
I think it's the most updated version.
Yeah, that looks like it. We're real close to it. So if we go in here to settings,
okay,
and in settings there is a demo mode.
Demo mode right there.
So if we turn that demo mode on, a nice thing about this is you turn that demo mode on in the app, and you don't actually have to have any of the tools connected up to it, but you can see how fast it works and you can see what it does. So it's really easy to practice the workflow through the app with this. Now, this is an app-based product, and what that does is that you can see here in the settings where we've got the demo mode, and then if we go back into the home screen, you can kind of see what all it does. But it does really accurate airflow measurements, does really accurate static pressure measurements. And when we're in the residential world, this is, to me, a game-changing product that is out there that we don't have a lot of easy ways to take good, accurate airflow through it.
Yeah, so the old TrueFlow Grid was very, very accurate. In fact, the California Energy Commission was actually said, this is really what we want you to use, and then the industry lobbied, said, no, we should be able to use a bolometer, we should be able to use a flow hood. And the TrueFlow Grid was more accurate to begin with, and that's the reason they wanted us, because of the accuracy that was with it. But it was hard to use.
It was very hard to use. And this one is now the digital TrueFlow Grid. This one's much easier to use. It is actually even more accurate than the original one.
Right.
So definitely some benefits. It works with Bluetooth, so you get all the stuff on your phone. Makes it really easy to build reports.
Right.
Take all the static pressure, static profile a system, and something new they brought out within the past month is actually system forecasting. So you can take the readings off the TrueFlow Grid and say you're going to you might want to be putting in different equipment. You're converting from gas to a heat pump.
Right. So our airflows can change.
The airflow is likely going to change because heat pumps need typically more airflow per BTU than a gas furnace does.
Yeah, well, as much sensible as we can get out of the system.
Right. So you can now use this tool as a sales tool or as a forecasting tool to say, hey, I can fit this heat pump.
I'm going to have to hold on a second.
To give away some of these gift cards for Amazon.
Did you talk to him there, Bob?
We call this name Angel Garibe. Angel Garibe.
He's trying really hard to give this away.
I know he wants to give stuff away, but, give it to me, I'll take it. Can't find him, I'll take it. All right, cool. He's shortened it up. All right, so we're good. We're back.
So what that allows us to do is to utilize this tool to forecast, hey, is this new piece of equipment going to work on this duct system?
Right.
Now, we might combine that with, say, a good load calculation on the house to make sure that we're sizing everything properly. Maybe we want to do a little bit of work on the house and we're going to fix the house so we can downsize a system potentially. But it tells us whether or not the static pressure in the airflow is going to work on that duct system.
And if it's not, then you can do whatever you need to fix that.
Correct, because you know that going in on the head end,
right,
rather than putting in a new piece of equipment and then finding out it doesn't work. That makes you look bad. It makes your customer really question your credibility. And then you get to tell them up front, hey, not only do you need a new piece of equipment if you want to go with this, you also need to do some work on the duct system.
Right.
Maybe it's just putting in a bigger filter.
So would you like to show the demo mode?
Sure. So let's walk through. We'll walk through probably.
So it is all up here.
It's all on screen. So we're going to hit the system airflow and static pressure. All right. this is what it comes up with first, and would be connecting
The
manometer,
DG8,
which is the DG8,
and then
a true flow grid
it itself.
So you hit you turn both of those products on,
Right.
physically turn them on,
And they're
it's
Bluetooth.
they're Bluetooth, so it's going to show up on here DG8 and the serial number.
Yeah. So what's the range typically on these?
Farther than you need to be
Yeah.
to operate.
So
them.
I use it all the time. And
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
never, every once in a while it'll drop, but that's not a big deal typically. And if it does drop, usually you just got to re-like it and just move on. So.
You got to move pretty far away from these.
Yeah.
And the range is going to vary depending on if it's in metal duct, what you got going on. It varies. So you hit the plus symbol, you add those two in.
And you have two
We're gonna
choices here:
say-
furnace or
Heating or cooling mode.
heating or
Not
cooling mode.
necessarily a furnace, but just a heating mode.
Right.
So we're going to select heating mode. Now, what kind of heat do we have?
Right. Is it a gas furnace?
Is it a
a
gas
heat
furnace?
pump? Or is it an electric resistance heat?
Correct. So let's go with a gas furnace then. And we're going to do, what's a common furnace type in your area?
So upflow.
Upflow. Okay,
Upflow
so let's
furnace.
select an upflow furnace. Now we got to answer some questions about that system.
Right.
We need to answer, where's our air filter located? So the choices we get are filter grill, filter slot in the ductor cabinet, or multiple filter grills.
Right.
Right. And you and I talked about this earlier briefly, right? You were talking about multiple filter grills?
No, that was somebody else.
Okay, that was somebody else.
That's okay. It was my twin brother.
It was
so.
twin brother? Okay. Well, there's a lot of people I've talked to here already.
Yeah.
But
no.
multiple filter grills is a question that we get a lot about how to do multiple filter grills. So let's take a look at that, because there's a lot of houses out there with multiple filter grills in them. So separate filter and return. So this is going to be part of the view forecast. And that's, do we want to separate the filter pressure drop
Take the
from
filter
the
out of
return
that.
pressure
yeah.
drop?
Okay.
So there we have to take another pressure reading on immediately the backside
Backside
of the filter.
Right.
And that way we can show, okay, this much pressure drop happens at the filter, this much pressure drop happens in the return duct.
Right.
So if we separate those two, that's going to take another reading for us. External indoor cooling coil. Well, yeah, because we got a gas furnace.
We got a
so
gas furnace. We got to have a coil that's separate, so
Yeah.
we got to put it in there.
So we want to put our rated input. What's our rated input on that furnace in BTUs per hour?
So let's just say it's 80,000.
Okay, we'll go with 80,000. How about our rated output?
So it's an 80%er for 64,000.
Okay, 64,000. You sound like you've done this before. Maybe once or twice. And how about our rated temperature rise?
So rated temperature rise would be 50 degrees on this unit.
Okay, 50 degrees. So that was a minimum. How about our maximum?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So go back.
Okay, we want to go back?
Go back to so the minimum is going to be 35, and the maximum will be 60.
Okay, 35 to 60.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our 35 to 60. Our return air temperature
We'll just
comes
say-
in nominal at 70
Let's
degrees.
just say you can change that.
We'll just leave it at 70 for now.
Altitude, let's just say it's 75 feet.
75
we're in
feet.
Modesto, 75 feet.
Okay, so pretty low down. Now that we've got all that information filled in, we're just going to hit next. It's going to give you some notes here. It's
Right.
going to tell you to close the humidifier dampers if you have any. We're in a dry climate, so you may want to have humidifiers in the wintertime.
Right.
Might be
Well,
a good thing.
California, we don't usually do it.
You don't
yeah,
do
all
it.
so all our moisture stays in the air, doesn't freeze out. That's
There you go.
part of the reason we don't. It doesn't freeze out all the moisture, so we don't need a humidifier typically in Central Valley
Gotcha.
of Modesto. Or
So, I mean, they put these notes in there as universal because
yeah,
they
so
go across the
it's,
country.
it's not just California; it's everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
it's
yeah.
everywhere. My market, we use a lot of bypass humidifiers. That's a very applicable note.
Right. So you would have to put that.
We
in
would
there.
have to close that. So we want to set the equipment up to heating mode, high heating speed, and then we're going to take the pressure measurements. It's going to indicate where to take these duct pressure measurements.
Right. So now it's going to show you where to go.
Going to show you where to take stuff at.
Right. So
All
on
right.
this one, because we're going to have 4 measurements now. One
Yep.
side of the filter, the return duct itself, before the coil, after the coil, and supply duct.
Yep. So we're going to put the probe in there wherever it shows on the screen. You're just going to hit take measurement.
And in this case, it was saying 0.40, negative 0.40.
And it's going to put that in. Now, Mitch knows this because this is a demo mode and it does the same thing every time. We're going to move that probe over. We're going to take another measurement, and you'll notice this isn't just an immediate measurement. It's actually taking
It's sampling
it's
group.
a sample.
It's a sample group
Right.
of measurements, so we're getting a more accurate reading than just a snapshot.
Correct, because these things change in that duct all the time.
Yes.
If you ever put a sensitive manometer in there, this is a
Oh,
micro
no, they're up and down all over the place.
up and down all over the place. The cool thing about this DG8, if nobody's there, if you haven't used one of these, the DG8 uses the same sensors that a blower door manometer does.
So it's basically a DG700 or DG1000 just converted into more simple,
a single channel
yeah,
with dual ports.
yeah,
But it has that auto zeroing feature on there.
yeah.
So there's a little valve in there that auto zeros that, so you don't have to keep hitting
So
zero.
how often do you have to calibrate the DG8?
Should be calibrated once a year,
Once
best
a year.
practices, just
Okay.
like a blower door. Or, I'm sorry, this one, no. DG8, 5 years.
5 years. Yeah, I
5
thought it
years.
was when you said 1 year. I was like, I thought it was
No,
longer than that. But
You're 100% right. A lot of stuff, I deal a lot with combustion analyzers. I've got calibrations 1 year on my brain. These are 5 years. And what they did was initially it was 1 year on
Right.
those when they first came out with the DG1000, because this uses the same sensor as that. And what they did was they did some long-term testing on it, and they proved out that it could go for 5 years, so extended it out.
so now we're before the coil.
Before the coil, we're going to take
our
another reading. And then we're going to move up to after the coil. We're going to take our fourth measurement.
Our final reading.
Yep. Not our
And-
final,
well,
but our fourth measurement in this, because we got to take another one here. And there's a little bit more work to do with the multiple filter grills. So once we're done with all those readings, we're going to hit continue. Now, we're going to mask or cover that filter in the smaller of the two filter grills.
So you pick the smallest of the one.
Pick the smaller of the two, or
We
three,
usually use,
whatever
you
it
know, what
is.
I've been using is peel and seal.
Works
great.
good.
Yeah,
Another option, if you don't have any
Garbage
peel and
bag.
seal, yep, garbage bag over the filter.
yeah. Heard the same thing. So yeah,
Stick
either
it
way.
back in there, right? Then you're going to put the filter grill itself, or the
True Flow
TrueFlow grid,
grid.
right? That grid into the other filter grill. Leave
And-
that grill
And
open.
the nice part about they have different adapters or the different size ducts.
Yeah.
So depending on different size returns. So
the grid comes out,
and then
and you've got different size adapters that grid just
yeah,
snaps
they have all
into.
kinds of different sizes. And then you can also buy one that you make your own size. So if you're using a lot of 20 by 30s, and you can make a 20 by 30. If you're 20 by 36, you can make a 20 by 36.
Yep.
If you don't have one that fits, let's just say, let me see that for a second. If you don't have one that fits, what we do is we'll put it in the grid. Huh? What's that? No, we're on the camera. We're on the right camera. We're good. So if we'll tape off the side, so you can use this in a bigger grill, no problem. Just tape off the side here. So basically, is what you do because all we need is the readings out of the grid itself.
Yeah, the idea is you want to force all the airflow
Through
through
those
that
holes.
through that grid.
Right.
Because what it's doing is it's looking at that supply static measurement, because that probe is still in your supply static,
Yep.
and it's comparing that static pressure between when the filters were in place normally versus what the airflow or what that static pressure is with the grid in place, and it runs a correction factor.
It's awesome. So go ahead. So we've got it. We're going to take a measurement.
So you got that in there. Then we're going to take the measurement, and now we're going to get the airflow, what the airflow was with the
That
filters
filter
in
in there,
place.
with the filters
That's what
in
we
there.
want to be
Yeah.
reading. We want to know what it is, and in this case, it's 1140
CFM. Now that's great if it was 3 ton or 2.5 ton.
Yeah.
That's really good. If it's a 3 ton, yeah, we're a little shy. If it's a 3.5 ton, we're a lot of shy.
Yeah.
So.
But we don't know necessarily. Now our workflow is complete here. We're going to hit OK.
It's going to save it.
We can save this. This
Put
is
a
a
name on
demo. We're just going to leave it at that
You
because
just
it's
save
the
it.
date
That's
and
fine.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have our static pressure's high on that.
Very high on the system. Yes.
Right. We're looking at a static pressure of over an inch of water column, which
Yep.
means that I had the airflow for maybe a 3 ton or a 2.5 ton, but I don't have the static pressure.
So,
that blower is going
but
to use a
point-
lot more electricity.
Point out where the big problem is on this one. and it's the filter pressure drop.
Right. So our filter pressure drop is huge. On this.
So this is probably a pleated MERV 13 filter, probably dirty. The customer didn't change it or whatever. I test them when I test these systems with the TrueFlow grid. I always test them with the existing filter.
Yep. You want
to
test
if I
it with
show
the
up and the guy goes, "Oh no, let me give you a new filter," I said, "Nope, we're going to test it like this because this is how you've been operating it. I don't know how long you've been operating it, so you can see what kind of airflow you're getting out of the system. If you want me to test it again, I'll do the whole test again with the new filter so you can actually see that." So.
And it's really easy to do that, to show the difference between those two, and it's a great visual to show the homeowner. Say, look, here's what this is costing.
So do you know how I used to do it in the old days? I had a Magna-Helix. I'd sat there, I'd say, you watch that Magna-Helix, and I'm going to go take that filter out, put a clean one in. And it's pegged, take that one out, now it's back at a ½ inch.
Yeah.
And suddenly, oh, wow, that was
Yeah.
that was the old days. But that's still a Magna-Helix, even though it's a very accurate instrument. It's very hard to read because it's an analog gauge. So
It is, and it's also not something you can leave behind typically with that homeowner. With this,
I got a report.
When you hit that report button, enter some more information out there.
Address.
And hit the create report. And now you end up with a PDF report.
All right, and on the report, you can put your own logo on there. You can see my logo at the top.
Yep.
Air Heroes.
You got it all in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can share that with them.
PDF it right to them.
PDF it to them. Makes it really easy, and it shows.
Doesn't zoom
that
out
one won't zoom. Here we
out.
go. We can zoom in down here. Look at that.
You pull it in that way.
There we go. But it'll show you where your problems are.
Right.
So I need, and if that's a clean filter, if that's a perfectly clean filter,
then that filter needs to go.
Or you need to put in a bigger filter grill.
Bigger filter or two filters or.
Right. You might need to put that one had two in it. We might need to put a third filter in there.
Yep.
We need to put something bigger in to drop that resistance. So that's a case where if I'm going to go in and put a 3-ton in, I'm also going to sell that person an upgraded filter, or maybe put a deep pleated filter in there instead of that 1-inch filter.
Right.
Something else to solve that problem. So to me, this is very much a game changer in the industry with regards to being able to take quick and accurate airflow measurements and then be able to predict what's going to happen with that duct system later on down the road.
It all comes down to workflows.
Yeah.
And let's drop back because you do have NCI workflow. So let me bring it back here. Let me
hit the measure.
Hit the measure. Yeah. So there are NCI has put in workflows has paired up with TEC.
Yep.
And put in the all these different workflows for the National Comfort Institute that they actually want you to use to do this. I use the NCI once in a while. Basically, I'm still just using the standard. Do my pressure test and stuff because I got to move in the house because I'm doing a lot of testing when I go in.
Yeah.
But with all that testing, you have a basis that you have a baseline to look at the system. You have a benchmark that you can use to say this is where you're at now. Let's go do the load calc. Let's see how it all compares and see where you're at. Because it's amazing. And then I go a step further. I usually do the ASHRAE 221, and I take my readings on the equipment and find the efficiency of the equipment and stuff, and we show all the different problems that the system has.
Yeah, and there's a ton of different stuff out there that we can do with this. But to your point, like if we take this before we change the filters, we take it after we change the filters, and now it's a repeatable test. We can come back in later after we change all the equipment.
Fix everything.
And prove to that customer and say, look, here's what it is now.
Yep.
Because Steve Rogers over at the Energy Conservatory, they recently did some testing, and I believe they found that around a 0.7 external static pressure, if we get higher than a 0.7, it's going to start costing that customer more money than what it would cost to run a PSC motor.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that ECM is going to push harder, but it's going to cost that customer more money.
A lot more money.
And it's going to significantly reduce the life of that EC motor.
Yep.
So we want to get these static pressures down into that 0.4, 0.5 external range. We need to keep these things as low as possible because the lower we get them, the longer that motor is going to live and the less it's going to cost.
And the less it's going to cost the customer.
For operating costs.
Yeah, so one of my biggest things is we at the classes that I teach for IHACI and for NCI too, is the static pressures is your lifeblood of the system. If the static pressures are way out there and it's an ECM motor. We're going to overcome some of that static pressure. We're going to deliver the air we want, but we're going to shorten the life of that motor.
Yep.
And it's going to cost the customer in the long run. So, yeah, it's awesome. I love this product. But now, one of the other things, TrueTech Tools has, if you're IHACI member, you get a discount at TrueTech Tools. So
Yep.
you can go in with your IHACI membership and get this TrueFlow grid for a significant discount. Because a typical TrueFlow grid right now, if you're buying the whole setup, with all of the different.
I think it's around $2,000.
Yeah, it's
for the whole
thing
with
That's
all
with
the different adapters and everything.
and
Yeah,
all the adapters and your TrueFlow grid, and we liked it so much. As soon as we saw it, and I bought one, and then I bought a second one, and I gave one to my sales guy, and I said, "You use this," and because he's the only guy going into a house. This test literally takes 10 minutes.
yeah.
And it's nobody else is doing it. And if you bring that in, it's a sales tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other guy is going, nah, your unit's fine. We're just going to change it out and you'll be fine. We'll put a bigger
Mhm.
unit in. And he's going in there and showing, you're not even getting the airflow out of the unit you want. If we put a bigger unit in, it's not going to work. We're going to have problems.
And to me, like I've lived it. I've seen it happen time and time again. You go in, put in a new piece of equipment, it doesn't work. Come back in, test. Oh, now we need to sell you duct modifications. Well, why didn't you tell me that before? You should have known this before.
So I had a customer recently, because we do the quality bid HVAC program, and they'd had a system replaced, but it wasn't heating their home.
Mm-hmm.
They would heat just a couple of rooms in the house, and the rest of the house was too cold. So we went in, and it was a brand new system, brand new furnace, brand new everything. We didn't do the system. And I went in and did the same QB2 testing that we do, test everything out. What we found was the air was shortchanging. The 2 bedrooms and the laundry room and the return was right there, and a bathroom was getting too much air. The rest of the house wasn't. And so it was pulling in the air. So the thermostat was right underneath the return. It was getting to 80 degrees when the rest of the house was 65.
Yeah.
And so we went and we did a duct design on it, did the whole 9 yards. So the customer used that. TrueFlow Grid was a big part of that, to go in and show that the contractor, because he wanted to charge him another $8,000 for doing duct work. Well, the customer come to us because they had a money back guarantee at that company and said, I want them to take it out and you put a new system in and the duct work for us. And what we ended up doing is, so they wouldn't get sideways the customer, the other company finally said, okay, we're just going to give you the duct work. And they did the duct work for free. And then I asked them, I said, use my design. They didn't use my design. So I said, if you want me to come back and test it again, I will. We'll make sure they do it. They said, the winter came around and they said it was fine this year, so that's been okay. So I haven't had any problems. But, did they use my design? I think they gave it to them, but they said they didn't use it, but I think they probably used it because there's a reason you may do the designs. Yeah. But it's, again, people think they're a silver bullet. They change things out, and if you're not testing this stuff ahead of time, you're setting yourself up to fail.
100%. I mean, you've got to have the data to prove what you're doing. I really equate HVAC technicians. We are data interpreters. All the tools, all the instruments we use to get information out of these systems is giving us data, and then we have to figure out what to do with that data. And we also have to know the tool to know whether or not we're applying it in the right way to get good quality data, because if we get bad data out of something.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. It's like any mathematical calculation, any calculation. But that bad data, we may pass that along to our customer. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't fix the problems. That's the reason we do all the tests. It's the reason I do a load calculation.
Yep.
Everybody needs to be doing these things. And if they're not, you're shortchanging your customer. These customers are paying over $20,000 for a system now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing a load calculation, you are setting yourself up to where you're going to get sideways with a customer somewhere somehow, and it's going to be a problem. And if you have all your data, we used to do a lot of new construction. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember, the eNalysis machine. Did you know about that? Did you ever hear about that?
I'm not familiar with that
Okay, so this is Honeywell.
And that was that a California thing, or was
No, Analysis came out, and the guy that invented it, he was out of Texas, and he developed a system where it used bolometers, and it went back to a computer and wired transmission inside the house, and you'd go in and you would measure airflow. It had a actual hood that went over the unit, so it'd get the exhausted BTUs out of the system. It measured the voltage, the amps, it gave you the SEER. It was a great system. Cost 20 grand at the time.
Yeah.
We bought it. Why did I buy it? So I could go into a house and I could measure everything, because we were doing load calcs on all these new construction houses, and I could measure everything, and I could say if somebody said, hey, my room's not heating like it should or not cooling, I said, oh, we'll pull it out. And I had to announce me, because you're not supposed to be able to trick that. And you go in and measure it all, and then it had one that stayed on the return. So if you had 2 returns, you measure both returns, and then it'll tell you which one to put it on, the same for the supply, and then you run it through a system, and it did a printout for them. And it was a great machine. I didn't buy the machine because they wanted to sell it as, let's take this into houses and you do all this. No, I bought it so that in these new construction houses, if a customer, because they wanted to be their lawsuit happy, wanted to sue me, I could prove. I said, here it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I go in and say, there's nothing wrong with your system. I said, look, this is the load calc. Here's where everything matches. The airflow is exactly what it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd go, it still doesn't work. So what I end up doing, I usually come back the next day, jump the unit so they couldn't turn it off, tell them I'm going to check it out, and then I come back in the afternoon, and it's 70 degrees in the house, and it's 105 outside. And I go, there's nothing wrong with the unit. Just got to turn it on. It's a user issue, not an equipment issue. And these are all new homes, and I did that I don't know how many times. I had one guy did that too. He worked for PG&E. He's a PG&E super, retired PG&E super, bought a house, go in there, 2,500 square foot house, got in there, did the analysis machine, didn't believe anything I said. I said, this is all what it's supposed to be. So I'll tell you what, I'll come out tomorrow. It's supposed to be 102. I'm going to jump your unit, come back, jumped his unit. When I pulled up that afternoon to come check in the afternoon, he's sitting on the porch. All his windows and doors are open on the house. So what the hell are you doing? And he goes, it's too cold in the house. I couldn't turn it off. You're not running your unit right. And then he believed it. But yeah, we bought the machine, still sitting on our shop. We got the analysis machine still sitting there. But I didn't use it. I used it like I would the True Flow Grid to prove what I did worked.
Yeah.
And then same thing, or to prove that what's there isn't going to work. It's not working right. All right. Yeah. So what else does TrueTech sell?
We sell a little bit of everything. We're an internet tool distributor. We carry 90-some different brands of tools and test equipment, all on our website. We warehouse everything in Ohio and ship 7 days a week. Try to get stuff as quick to people as possible. But we really focus on our business is the HVACR and building performance markets. So that's what we're good at. That's what we focus on.
Yeah. So and the performance part is the great part, because like I said, you guys have a lot of stuff that you guys do with the NCI now.
Yep.
NCI has a discount also.
Yep. Yes, we are the preferred tool provider of NCI.
Yeah. And you can find a discount anywhere for TrueTech. Yeah. Usually when you go to checking out a tool and you go to sign it, go somewhere, it says, oh, let's give you a 5% discount, buy right now, and so.
We have a lot of good partners out there that help promote us as well and give us feedback.
Most of my tools that I've gotten, like the True Flow Grids, we got through the TrueTech tools and our flow hoods and stuff like that. We got them. So, because I'm big on testing, I like the testing. I test everything we do. So we do load calc and everything we do. It's what everybody should be doing. It's just that nobody does do it, and that's the problem.
Yeah, there's definitely a slimmer minority that do the load calculations and do a lot of really detailed testing. But for me, it's encouraging. I get to see the industry from a national perspective, and nationally, I'm starting to see more and more people.
They're coming around,
getting into this. We're starting to see some more development.
Yeah, the check and the trucks are going away, hopefully, and we're getting more.
I think there's still going to be a place for them, but
heat them and cheat them. Those kind of guys are going bye bye.
I think there's always going to be all kinds of people, and the customers have to decide what they want,
right?
Ultimately,
and it does come down. What we're doing is when we are in a business that we provide services for customers when they have a problem or to keep them comfortable, and if we're not taking care of those problems or we're not making them comfortable, we're not doing our job. And that's the thing. So does TrueTech have some videos online that you can watch for using these tools?
There's a lot on the TEC website or
right.
the TEC YouTube channel. We've got some of them linked into the products on our pages. There's all kinds of educational material out there. We've got quite a bit on our YouTube channel as well, and linked in through the product pages on our website, things like that. Unfortunately, I don't have all of it in my brain about what all is
I
where.
understand. I put you on the spot. Everybody's on the spot to come
Yeah,
here.
everybody's on the spot.
At least we haven't been interrupted by a raffle since we started. So
Maybe they gave that one away.
I
They
hope
were
so.
trying.
Because if not, give it to me. So, how did you like the show? How did the show go for you guys?
It's been a good show. This has been a lot of fun. This is my first time attending IHACI, and I've been impressed. It's a fun show to come to. So, if you're in the area, come on out and see
Are you
us.
selling any tools over there?
We don't sell anything here.
Directly, yeah?
No,
not directly out of it? Okay.
We got to carry
taking
everything
orders?
Got to carry anything on the airplane.
Yeah.
You can log on to the website 24/7 and make all the orders you want to.
No, I know that, yeah. So, okay. All right, Eric. Well, thank you for coming in.
Mitch, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought the TrueFlow grid because that's one of my favorite tools. I use it all the time. Well, let's see. Let's look at what's saved. Let's go to our saved. Let's go to. Let me go back.
He's got a lot of reports on his phone.
There's a lot of reports on my phone.
A lot of reports on that phone.
A lot of reports
folks.
on my phone.
I can't even count that high.
Yeah, it just it's a lot. It goes on, it goes on, and 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 it goes on. So,
yeah, all the way back to 2022 when it came out.
Yeah, when we first got it. Yeah, that's right. So
we
do quite a few of them.
This is, again, like I said, one of those tools that if I had this when I was still in the field,
if I loved, everything has gotten better. Like I was telling everybody, I had a fill in for John Dalton. He got sick and he was there doing a panel of guys to talk to contractors. So I had to fill in for John. He's the head instructor for IHACI. And my thing is, you guys live in a golden age. This is the golden age of HVAC. What does that mean? We have some of the best tools I wish I had 25 years, 30 years ago, things that we had to do by hand, the math we had to do, all the other stuff. Now you just pull up an app on your phone, you click a button, you connect to a tool, and you have a snapshot of that system doing its job, and you can look and if you're using like Measure Quick or some of these other, they will tell you where there's a problem, like you need to look here, this is where we're seeing issues.
And maybe not even a snapshot, you may have a data log. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more data logging come into this stuff where you can look at data over a time period, which is also very useful, especially when you're hunting intermittent problems and things like that on these systems. Yeah. You're absolutely right. We're in the golden age. I don't know of HVAC, but we're definitely in the golden age of test instruments.
Test instruments of tools. And they're so accurate now, too. That's the other thing. Everything, when I started, it was a pocket thermometer. It was analog, and I'd stir it in the ice for a little bit and then adjust it with a crescent wrench to get it so it was 32 degrees. Now I knew it was accurate. And how many decimal points could I read of that? None. It's 32 degrees. There he goes. 42 degrees. I knew what it was. That was it.
Yeah. And things are changing. Like there's more new things coming out every year. We're seeing new tools, new ideas. We've gotten to the point where we can manufacture a lot of these products pretty quickly now. And with the 3D printing that manufacturers have today, they can prototype these things a lot faster. So they can develop the tools a lot quicker than they used to be able to. So good things all around, in my opinion.
Hey Bob, you want to go get... we got Connor over there at Quality HVAC. He's right across from the tech booth at the bottom. You want to go see if he wants to come and do his thing? He's supposed... Well, we were going to try to shut it down. I was going to try to shut it down around 4, but if they want to come over, you can ask them. They can come over at 4 and we'll do it. I don't know how long the batteries are going to last on our mics. Yeah, he's right across from the tech. It's in that Quality Residential HVAC Services. Hey, plug my power back into that and make sure it's on.
Well, I think you were going to kick me out of here, so...
No, we can sit here and talk. In fact, we got to fill dead time. So.
We got to fill dead time. Okay.
Yeah, this would be dead air. We're doing live broadcast, so it would be just me belting out tunes, and I can't do that because there's Connor. Hey, Bob, he's here. That's the third time he goes to find you, and he's
I keep getting everybody keeps pulling me aside.
Pulling you aside. Okay. Eric, thank
Mitch.
you very much, man.
Thanks
All
very
right.
much for coming in. Connor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Don't
you.
forget to fill out your paperwork.
That's right.
See you, everybody.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Close that thing says fork. The thing sticking out right there. Close it. Just close it. Push it in. Now open it up one more time.
Oh.
See if it comes on. Did it come on? Let's see if it came on. No, it's not. I got to turn it on. Hang on a second. Bob's not here, so I got to handle it.
This is quite a setup you got here,
Oh
Mitch.
yeah. Come on in. Hang on a
I
second.
love
Bob,
it.
give me just a second.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I got to turn this on.
Oh, is there a link for this, by the way, Mitch?
Yeah. So no. So I just need you to scan that for me real quick.
Yep.
How come we lost two?
Oh, no, we lost camera 2.
We lost 2, but I can plug it over into 4 if I need to. Let me see. No, we're back up. There you are.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, we can raise that seat up if you want to. You gotta
Yeah, so I don't look like
look like a midget.
a little midget.
He can't. He's the fourth one that, as you left, they walked into the booth.
Oh, this has been a recurring.
Yes, it's a recurring thing. Bob's running to get people. Okay.
You know it's coming.
Hey, Bob, by the way, nice to meet you. Bob, nice to meet you. Let me get this release here for you. Okay, yes, authorized. Cool. Oh, yeah, sorry, link. I wanted to just send it out to some people.
Oh, okay. I'll have to send you an email. I can do that real
Oh,
quick,
all right,
though.
this is going to be recorded and everything?
It's all recording,
Oh,
so
cool. Okay.
let me stop this recording, the last one, and let me start again. Hang on a second. We'll start up right now. Okay, we're started, so we're live right now. There
All
you guys
right.
got your water bottle right in the shot. That's okay.
my bad.
That's all right. No, not a problem. You filled
Not
this
camera
out.
trained.
Yeah, no, it's okay. This takes. It's not that big a deal. Okay. All right. So. Oh no, I'm being filmed by somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Do
she's
you
taking
have my
pictures.
permission to take my picture? No, you do. Yeah, you're fine. That's fine.
Turns
That's
out.
fine. That's fine. All righty. Come on, slide my way a little
Okay.
bit so we get you better in the picture. So when I switch the camera, you're
Looking
more
good?
centered. Yeah, you're more centered in there. So
Cool.
when I bring it over to you. Okay,
Cool.
and you want to hold this probably about this far from your,
That
from
good?
your lips when you do it. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, so switch hands with it, though. Okay, I know you're not left-handed because I'm going to shake your hand. Okay, hi, this is Mitch Bailey, and I'm in the IHACI booth again for the IHACI 2024 Trade Show. I have Connor Moore, who is, what's your title there at the
Program manager.
Program Manager for the Quality HVAC Residential Services.
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
and what does that mean? What is Quality Residential HVAC Services, Connor?
Yeah, so at the core of the program itself is trying to move the needle on the HVAC contractor market towards higher quality services across the board. So
Right.
we're talking bids to installs to maintenance setups, maintenance calls, all of that stuff, all of which we incentivize. And what we're talking about as far as quality goes is making sure that the correct tests and measurements, load calculations, adjustments to thermostat, like all across the board is being done. And this program incentivizes contractors to do so.
So what kind of incentives does it provide for me? So if and I think you have 2 tiers for
We
the
do.
bid portion of it.
Correct.
And
We
what-
have 2 tiers for every
2 tiers for
one.
everything.
Yep.
Okay. And so the tier 1, what does a contractor have to do when they're doing the quality residential AC, the bid portion of it?
Sure.
QB, I call it the QB1.
Yeah.
So the QB1, if they're doing the QB1, what's the bare minimum they have to do?
Yeah, so what I like to say as far as the QB1 specifically, and actually tier 1 across the board, is the best example is you don't have to provide a full load calculation, right? It's simplified inputs. There's overall fewer requirements. I mean, I don't know if you're going to pull up the website or not, but if you look at our checklist, you're looking at, 60 fewer requirements in a tier 1 checklist.
So it's a lot less on
Yes.
it. So and then
Yes.
on the QB2, which is the other one.
Yep.
What does that provide?
Yeah, so that's full stop quality services. That's a full manual J, probably about, I want to say 200 lines of inspections, tests, measurements, adjustments, making sure the thermostat is set correctly, that it's set up for, proper usage throughout the day, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, one of the other examples I use is a tier 1 will probably take you for the bid portion probably an hour. A tier 2 will take you about, depending, well, not everybody's Mitch Bailey, but probably for the average contractor about 2 hours versus 1 hour for a tier 1. And we try and have the incentives be commensurate to that, because we really try to say.
So tier 1 pays.
Tier 1 for a quality bid will be a $350 incentive.
Oh, $350, it went up?
It's all. I mean.
Oh, was it always $350?
Yeah, it's always $350.
I didn't realize that. Let me bring it
well,
up.
Hey, you went right into tier 2, so it worked out.
Yeah, well, we went right into tier 2 because. So let's look at our incentives. So here's the incentives, and let me switch this over to. Let me make sure I'm getting the right feed here. So I think it's 3. No, wait, so I'm sorry. Let me take this off the program. So 3. Yeah. Oh, we got Infinity here. So let me get rid of that.
Infinity mirror there.
Infinity. So here's the program right here, and so let me push in. What we can do is we can go right here, program, and then we'll go 1, and should be able to go picture in picture. So it should be. Let me double check. So. No, I got the wrong way. So let me flip this around. Let me turn it off. Go back. Go to 1. Do picture in picture. Then hold this down. Now then, you shouldn't see Affinity. Yeah. So there we got it. So
that'll work.
That'll work. Let me. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let me go back because we really do want the Infinity one. We want us in the picture in picture. So we'll just do this. Let me turn that off again. Switch it to 3. Turn it back on, turn it to there. Now, okay, so now they're seeing this. What they're seeing on the screen is
Perfect.
the big thing. So it's this. So we can show the mouse. We come over here. So you got your tier 1.
Yep.
And our quality bid's $350, $700 for tier 2.
Right.
Okay, there's going to be kickers. What's the kickers are going to be?
So essentially, this is something that we're hoping to release in 2025, or roll out, I should say, in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, it's for those contractors that can consistently, and we review, just to back up, we review the first 5 of every contractor's submission for each service and each tier. And that review is done by our Frontier Energy Engineering Department, Kristen Heinemeyer, who is our technical lead. She reviews all of them and provides feedback to all the contractors. So everybody does that for tier 1, everybody does that for tier 2, and then after they pass those first 5, it's about a 5% sample rate after that. And so for those contractors that within that 5% sample rate of tier 2 can consistently deliver high quality services that, solicit 0 or limited feedback, those contractors
will get a kicker.
They get that kicker. And it's going to be about a 15% on top of the tier 2 incentives.
Okay, yeah. So 15%. So you look at another 50 bucks.
Yeah, essentially. So yeah, it goes from $700 to $750.
Yeah.
I think it's like $775.
$75. Okay, cool. So, and then, you also do multifamily. You do multifamily on it now.
Yes.
And so when was that introduced? Is that?
Yeah. So the multifamily program, the multifamily side of the program, I should say, 1 through 5 units, same incentive. So if you do 1 through 5 units on a multifamily property, you're going to get the same incentive that you would get for a single family unit, up through 5 units.
Right.
So after that, there's a scalability to it. So you get, obviously, as it says on the screen, 25% fewer incentives, 6 through 50, and then 10% of that incentive, 51 through 100. But so that was introduced earlier this year. I would say we are looking to expand it in Q1 of 2025 to have it more comprehensive, meaning that you don't have to do the full checklist for units 6 through 50, right? Like you would only have to do 10% of those.
Right.
You only have to do 10%.
So let me bring up one of the contractors. So let's just look at our contractors. So here's what a quality bid let's look at one checklist.
Sure.
Let's just we're going to look at the paper version because that's when you're going to fill this out in the field.
Correct.
And let me zoom it in just a little bit so people can see it a little better. So there are, in this case, there's 3 pages, and they're asking questions like, it's like there's no further needed attic insulation is good, so you can do that. Or if there is problems, you can note that, and then down at the bottom you put, well, when you get to the different this part of the inspections. So they have inspections for ductwork, attic insulation, air filtration, ventilation, and that's important because that's part of everything that we do.
Absolutely, yeah.
The thermostat itself, and then you put in there back down here. Basically, it's a checklist. I'm going to check these things.
100% a checklist.
Now,
yeah.
when we first originally started, we had to take pictures of everything.
Correct.
And then you found out that that's a lot of pictures.
It's difficult to get people to do that.
Yeah. So I still take pictures of everything.
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, and it just makes my job easier because I can just refer to my phone at my pictures and I don't have to go back.
Right. Exactly.
So if we go down here and we look at, so then we get into the test. First test for Tier 1, we're going to do total airflow. And so how do they get the total airflow? They're going to use what? They're going to use like a true flow grid?
Yep, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's actually one of the major barriers that we are trying to address is the need for...
Wait a second. PG&E has a true flow grid that you can borrow from their tool lending library
That's
at
right.
no charge for 2 weeks.
That's right. And if it's my understanding that you just had a TrueTech Tools representative. We have a discount system with TrueTech Tools for about 5% discount.
5%? Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, the IHACI membership gives you 10%.
Stack them.
Stack them. Yeah. No, you can't. They won't allow that. I wish they did. They did.
No.
So then you're going to take your static pressures. You got to have your static pressure, your return and supply static pressure. This is basically total external static pressure, by the way.
Yep.
Then you're going to put this, whether it's a heating or cooling mode, and then you're going to put in the supply air temperature and your return air temperature and come up with your split. Now this is whether it's in heating or cooling, okay?
Correct.
And then whatever, any kind of notes you need or any comments you put in.
Yep.
And then we're going to look at the design. So they ask the questions that like for like replacement. What, a load calculation input, simplified load or full load. Simplified load is using like CamelSoft's or CamelSoft's load calc software. Cool Calc. It's just quick, easy. You can do it very fast.
Right.
Doesn't give you detailed stuff though. This is one reason you should do room to rooms.
Correct.
Room by room is actually the best.
Correct.
Then you put in the old equipment model number and stuff, or the design system for the new system. You're going to put in the outdoor unit maker model, the efficiency of the system, the heating, and so on. And that's on the design. Now, you're going to also indicate what did this recommended design do for the customer.
Right.
And you're going to put in here indoor make and model number of the design, the outdoor make and model, cooling efficiency, all that stuff. And then down here, you're going to put, is it the right size? Is it a heat pump? Because we want to switch everybody to heat pumps. That was the
highly incentivize that to happen, especially if I just may say, layering with the Tech Clean California program is a fantastic option for this program. Basically, double your incentive for an install.
And then, are we doing strip heat? Now, I don't do strip heat. I do 120 volt air handler, so we don't do strip heat on it.
Right.
And then, if it has a crankcase, is it absent or does it matter? Is it well controlled? And then, is it a compliant system? If it's not compliant, then you can put a in here. Oh, I'm sorry. Down here, you put in your value. This is a value. Usually 5 is the best.
Yes.
And typically, most of mine are 5s because I'm doing the top of what we can do.
Right.
That's really going to improve stuff. Sometimes it might be a 4.
Yeah.
And then you're going to put in any other comments down here, and then you're going to click off Tech King California if it's a heat pump.
Correct.
If they're using Go Green, you can click on that. The self-generation program if they're on that. And then down here, you're going to put in whether you got the signature on site or not. And then we save this as a PDF. We'll put it in, scan it in as a PDF, and then we submit it because we got to do the online version also. So the online version, you just go in, click on it. I'm not going to click on the link, but it'll take you. Tier 2 is a little more involved. Let's see what the Tier 2 paper versions got us. And it is an extra page, 4 pages, as opposed to 3. But there's a lot more, and it's going to ask you basically in the testing, what's the worst room?
Right. Yeah.
Why did we have problems?
It requires a full room by room.
And a room by room load calculation.
Correct.
And other than that, it's pretty close to the other system, except you're doing a full load calculation, and we're testing airflow through the whole house.
Correct.
Not just airflow through the system.
Exactly.
So.
Tier 1 is designed for contractors that don't consistently do this type of work to get onboarded into the program.
So talk to me about the quality install part of it.
Yeah, so the quality install is definitely our most comprehensive. So for instance, I often get asked by contractors when I'm kind of explaining this to them, what's the catch? One of the catches is the checklist. The other catch is going through our trainings. The quality install training itself is definitely our most comprehensive. It's about an hour and a half, but it's well worth it because that's where the big money is, specifically on the Tier 2. So I mentioned TechClean California before. TechClean California has a $1,000 incentive. If you were to install a heat pump under the TechClean program,
you get $1,000 and $1,000. And so $2,000
exactly.
And you can stack. You can do the quality bid at $700, and then $1,000 for the install.
Correct. Yeah.
And how hard is it for a contractor to onboard?
Yeah. So the onboarding process. So obviously we have our enrollment. Just generally, that probably takes you about 10 minutes, maybe. Then after that, we require that you do an onboarding training, 15, 20 minutes max. For that.
And that's online, basically.
Yeah, everything is online. No in person currently, although we are working towards that. And then we ask that before work is completed for each service and each tier, that the technician specifically that is going out to do that work takes that training. So if you're going to go out and start doing bids and installs, we need a technician who is doing those bids and installs to have taken our online via our learning management system training for quality bid and quality install. Once those trainings are completed, you go out, you do your work, you submit your first 5 jobs, and Kristen Heinemeyer and her team, our technical team, will review those. If all 5 of those pass that inspection, meaning that...
And you'll kick it back if there's an issue.
Correct, yeah. No, we provide feedback, we provide training resources, all that stuff. And
then my daughter's going to provide kickback to you too. So
that's absolutely correct. She'll let us know.
She'll let you know. When, no, we should be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
She's very good at that.
Honestly, shout out to Candy because she has provided us a lot of very quality feedback, especially, we launched this program a year ago this month, roughly. And so, Candy's and Mitch, early adopters.
Yeah, I was right in there, but it was because my daughter called me on the way down. I was teaching a class in Tulare for IHACI, and I was on my way down there, and she goes, "Dad, I just did this stuff online for this thing. We need to do it. You're doing exactly what they're doing anyhow."
Exactly.
Now the problem with mine was, you call me up, you'd say, Mitch, come out and give me a bid. So I'd come out and give you a bid, and I tell you I'm going to do all this stuff.
Right.
But it was dialed into my price.
Right.
Okay. So there's several $100s in there for me to do all this stuff.
Right.
And then I wouldn't do it, though, until you actually sign the contract.
Correct.
And so in this case, you can do all this testing, which tells you everything about the system, and then you can you're getting paid to do that part.
Yeah.
And the customer doesn't have to use you. They can just flat out say, no, I've decided to change my mind, or I'm going to use this other guy.
Still get the money.
Still get the paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So have you ever ran across where there's 2 guys doing the quality too?
Like two
different contractors
at the same
time?
Site.
Yeah.
We have not. However, that's absolutely okay. The point is that we want contractors to be doing this work.
Right. This is the whole object. Now, who came up with the idea of this? I think I did, but just go ahead. I'll let you say.
I would say Mitch Bailey is the inventor.
No, it wasn't me that did it.
I know. It was Kristen Heinemeyer came up with this probably.
And she works at Bayron, right? Or
she works at Frontier.
Frontier.
She has a PhD in building science from Berkeley.
Right.
She is all knowing in these things, and this has been a kind of a dream of hers for a long time. And so shout out to her for putting this together and making it real.
This was my business model for the last 10 years.
Oh,
okay.
God,
so
yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time, and because we switched out from doing residential new construction to add-on replacement service work. Yeah. And so, and I Rick Chetwood and all these other guys that are talking about efficiency stuff, and I decided I'm going to do this, and I set up my business model that way. So I get jobs because we'd actually give the people a binder with all this stuff that would show them, and the binder, our binder's like, it's got the load calc, it's got the warranties, it's got the pictures, it's got the equipment stuff. We put all that stuff to the customer, and the other guy comes out with a sheet of paper, or it's on the back of their business card for their bid. And so, but we go in and try to fix things. Whenever I went into an engineer's house and I showed them what we do, they would kick everybody else out of the house. No, you
Yeah.
get out of here. The Bailey's is going to do that. So.
Right.
And so,
And I will say, just to stack onto that, like, so one component obviously is making sure that the contractors are doing this work, right? The other component, to your point, is educating the customer.
Yes.
Because we want the customer to understand that this is the standard that they should be seeking when they are looking for HVAC contractors, right?
Exactly.
And so one of our you notice the signature, right, at the end of our checklist?
Right.
That signature is attesting that the technician went through that checklist with the customer and said, hey, your attic insulation is low, your ducts are leaking, all of these other things that inform the customer that this is the standard that they should be seeking. And so that's part of the moving the needle, transforming the market. And that 10 years down the line, when the customer needs to do, replace their HVAC system, get a new maintenance contract or whatever, if they don't get that quality of service, they'll find somebody that will.
Yes, and that's the thing. So the problem in our industry is there's too many guys that are just going out there, oh, you just need a bigger unit, just need to do this, you just need to change that out. And they think it's a silver bullet. And they'll go in there and they say, oh, the customer will have airflow problems in the house. Oh, we're just going to put a bigger unit in and that's going to fix it. Right. And there was no testing ahead of time. There was no looking at what they actually had and what they needed. And they end up putting in a system that doesn't work. Customers pay a lot of money for.
And it's inefficient.
This program takes care of a lot of that stuff. It allows you to do the proper testing, to come up with a proper plan of action for any customer. Correct. So that they can take care of the problems in their homes, that make that system as efficient as possible, make the house as efficient as possible.
Correct. Yes, and that's really the name of the game. Is one obviously comfort, is the biggest thing, but the efficiency aspect of it absolutely is like it. So a big thing is what I've uncovered as working on this program for roughly a year now, and obviously I've been in the energy efficiency space for almost a decade, which is crazy considering I'm a relatively young man. But contractors do not do their load calculations. They do not size their systems correctly.
No, they don't even believe their own load counts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they'll say, oh, especially in California, right? They'll say, oh, the climate's basically the same, year-round. So we're just going to put in just like the same. But they're not doing that room-by-room measurement.
But they're not looking at the house because the rules of thumb of 500 square foot per square foot, or a ton for every 500 square foot per, is a rule of thumb for a house that was built in the 50s.
Yeah.
And you got houses that were built, might have built in the 50s, but they put new windows in, they added attic insulation, they sealed the house a little bit.
And it's completely different.
And it's completely different. It changes that. That 3-ton unit for a 1,500 square foot house is now really a 2.5 or a 2-ton
exactly.
unit.
Or there's and I've actually had contractors say, basically a lot of what this is, the requirements of this program are based around Title 24, right? Which requires that you size the system appropriately.
Right.
I've legitimately had contractors say, so we have to undersize the unit. It's because by definition they are oversizing the unit every single time.
Because they're going by square footage and not going by what they need.
Yeah,
so
So
how long is the process period after you've submitted one that you typically get paid if there's not any issues?
So
we're gonna hold on a second.
We got a raffle or something.
So this is the great part about live broadcasting. We have to deal with it. So, but if you haven't come down to the IHACI Trade Show, it is 4 o'clock. You've got another 3 hours. They are still giving stuff away. Right. Come on down. Maybe you might win. Okay.
And come by the Quality HVAC booth.
Yeah, come by the Quality booth. Sign up for it, and let's get some information.
Absolutely.
So, what's the turnaround time for getting paid?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, the initial period, you have to provide 5 jobs initially, and we provide feedback on all 5 of those jobs. That turnaround time is about 2 weeks. Once you pass that, you're free to submit. In which case, once you submit, you're getting paid 1 week later.
A couple of weeks later, a week later.
I mean, you should be being paid if you submit it on a
online.
You
submit it all online.
You submit it. It's all online. If you submit it Thursday, a check is going to be cut for your job the following Thursday, and you'll see that money.
Are you doing direct deposit, or are you going to go? Or are you not doing that? Not yet.
We are cutting checks.
Just cutting checks.
I will say.
I knew that. I just was asking.
No, that's a good point. But I will say, this is a big get for us in that in 2025 we are hoping to add ACH. And
So
direct
you
deposit.
do have one other thing that you have, which is the quality maintenance.
Yes.
Okay.
So with the quality maintenance, the objective is obviously you want to get a baseline. You know, you go in, you do all the tests and measurements. It's very similar to honestly, it's very similar to the quality bid.
Right.
And so you do kind of that baseline measurements, tests, all that stuff. You do the actual maintenance, and then the idea.
So this is only for cooling only, though, right?
I'm sorry?
Cooling only?
Yeah, correct.
Yes, that's only for the cooling side of the system.
Correct. So once you get that all set up, the idea is that you get a maintenance contract from that, and then you're getting $150 to $300 every 6 months from that customer.
And so,
yeah.
how about the quality maintenance? I mean, so the they used to say
call.
Service call. They changed
Yeah,
it.
it's essentially a maintenance call.
Maintenance call.
Yeah. So yeah, your customer calls you up and say, hey, you know, here's it's time for our annual maintenance. You go over there, you do what comparatively to the other checklist is a minimal amount of work, honestly, and $350 essentially for work that you're already doing in tier 2.
Yeah,
$300.
So if I was to say the one thing that I think that the program needs is some training. So you said you're talking about some places are going to start doing some training. Who you got set up to do that with?
Maybe you.
Maybe me.
Yeah, so that, and then we're also trying to work with the utilities, particularly SDG&E, to get that those set up. Particularly, probably piloting it in SDG&E territory.
Right.
But yes, that's a major priority for us going into 2025.
So I was offering when I was doing
know.
the program. I was having people from IHACI class come. Yeah. I'd offer if anybody wants to come down and do the testing with me. I put them to work.
I know.
You ever done a duct test? No. Okay. Guess what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing duct. You done a blow dart? No. Guess what you're doing?
Yeah.
You ever did this? No. Guess what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, and I put them all to work so
Right.
that they could do. You know, ever run a flow hood? No. Here you go. Ever run a true flow grid? No. Here you go.
And that's the key, right? It's like just getting
hands-on,
getting them in there.
Getting them in there. So
yeah.
Yeah, so some training program for some of the people that might be interested in it, and they can send their guys to do the training. And then it's just acquiring the tools or borrowing the tools, because you can borrow all these tools from the PG&E tooling library, and they don't have a True Tech or a True Flow grid at Southern California Edison, but they are going to get one, I'm sure. I'll talk them into it.
I've been talking to, I believe his name's Ronaldo, I believe, at SCE, who manages their tool and library.
Yeah.
We're trying to get something set up with them to expedite, I guess, the process. But yeah.
Yeah, so at PG&E, the first new IHACI class in several years was we put together a thing for PG&E. Now they're doing a tool class, using the tools, actually hands-on and all this other stuff. And it's basically HVAC stuff. So it's everything that we're doing for the quality bid and quality install testing.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, the idea is that at some point these are things that you're going to be doing anyway.
Right, yeah.
And so might as well get some free money.
And my whole point is to gear that toward to where these people join the program, learn how to do this stuff, and actually go out and do it in the field. And start, because I tell you what, I'm tired of competing against you guys that are just going in there, putting the price on the back of a credit card and doing, you know, heat them and cheat them, low ball, chuck in the truck, giving them these prices.
Box swaps.
Yeah, swapping boxes.
Yep.
You know, upsizing where you don't need it.
Yep.
Thinking return air ductwork is the only problem in a house. You take a static pressure and your return air is 0.55 and you go, oh, it's all static. Yeah. So you go put in a new return. You say, I'm just going to make this return bigger, blah, blah, blah. You go put it in and static pressure still through the roof. Why? Not on the return side. You fix that, but the supply side screwed up. So you think they only screwed up one side of the system when they did it? And the system was probably oversized to begin with. So that's 90% of it.
Right.
And so they put a 4-ton unit on 3 tons of ductwork. My old saying is I can't put 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack.
That's right.
So I can't fit 4 tons of air through 3 tons of ductwork.
And then you say, no kidding, it's not efficient or comfortable.
No, it's not efficient,
yeah.
And they have problems, and they have high bills, and then they paid a lot for a system that doesn't do it. No silver bullets.
Yep.
So it fixed all that stuff.
Exactly.
Connor, did you want to bring up anything else?
The other thing that I don't think I mentioned is that the incentive itself is completely flexible. That incentive goes right to the contractor. The contractor can use that incentive to...
You can give it back to the customer if you want to. You can discount it. In my case, I was doing it anyhow, it just drops my price
Just
down.
works out.
So when I do, that's basically what it is.
And I've also had some contractors say like, okay, well, I have this technician who, obviously, has an hourly rate that they would like to maximize. And so they're saying, oh, why do I want to spend an extra 2 hours in this house? The technician themselves are getting that incentive to supplement their hourly rate.
Yeah.
Right.
So in my case, I do almost all the testing.
Yeah.
So Bob will do it occasionally.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when we do, it's a 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours minimum typically on most homes. And if it's a big house, it could be 3 hours. Not about 80% of that though, of those time, from my end of it, is the customer asking questions.
That's awesome.
And then when they're going, why? What are you doing here? What's this? And you pull out that true flow grid, and they're like, what's that do? And then you pull out the flow hood, and they're like, what's that do?
Oh, man.
And you do a duct blast. Oh, that's so cool. What's that? That's a blower door.
I love that.
And we show them all of the leakage and stuff. You're getting shorter, by the way. That chair has a problem.
Down.
Yeah, that chair. It's hilarious. Jeff started out here, and he come down as my height when he got done. Jeff Sturgeon. So this is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome program.
Yeah.
If I was to say, do something as a contractor, this is the one program you should sign up for.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, and you can layer, and like this is for the contractor's benefit.
Yeah.
And you can layer this with any other program.
Yep.
Literally any other program, which is the other thing I want to say is like, do the work, which you're ideally doing anyway, and then layer it on top of Comfortably California, Tech Clean California, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Connor, unless you got something else, you're free to go, man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in, by the way. You appreciate it.
I
I appreciate you guys' stuff too. You guys do a good job.
Absolutely, I really appreciate that, Mitch. Thank you.
And even though my daughter can be a pain, she only wants to make you better.
Trust me.
Trust me. She's tried to make me better my whole life, so I have to deal with her every day. Man. Candy, I love you.
I know it. Hey.
So
big shout out to Candy.
Yeah, she does a good job. She does the same thing with whether it's Frontier Energy, whether it's Go Green, whether it's Tech. It doesn't matter. She will call you up and she'll say, "This is BS,"
and she'll call you out. She'll call you up and call you out.
Yeah. So you better have your ducks in a row.
That's absolutely right.
Then she makes mistakes too. So.
Whenever I release a new thing for this program, Candy's top of mind.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You should reach out to her first. Hey, we want to try this. Do you think that's okay?
We have on a couple of occasions, that's for sure. But yeah, no, absolutely. And I really appreciate the time. And if anybody here is at IHACI, please stop by the QHVAC booth. We also have a webinar next Thursday. If you're interested, I'm happy to provide.
I can link it in the description when this goes live. So when I say go live, it's going live now, but I can put it in the description. So send me the thing and on the recording of it so people could do it. And I'll put a date on there. But if you go attend it on this date,
Got it. Yep. Send it over.
Great.
Appreciate
Fantastic.
it.
Thanks again, Connor.
Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right, Bob. Well, we're back to dead air. Did you want to see if Nate wanted to come in? Did they say yes, no, maybe? Because we could do that. I can have Nate. All right. Well, so we just don't have dead air. Again, I'm going to talk about the Quality Residential HVAC Services Program. I use it on every house we do just about. It's paid for. This money been paid into this account. May as well take advantage of it. Gives the customer a wealth of information. It helps you identify problems in a system or in a house, and it may not be the HVAC itself that's a problem. It might not be the air conditioning. It may be the envelope. Maybe they have too much duct leakage. Maybe they have too much envelope leakage. So we do a blower door to check that. Maybe they don't have enough insulation. Maybe the windows are shot. There's all kinds of stuff we do in this that enables us to go ahead and make sure that what we put in, that we give them a quote, that it can fix all stuff. And the customer doesn't have to do any of it. You still get paid. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of this program. You get paid whether or not the customer does any of it. So we firmly believe in the Quality Residential HVAC Services. They provide a lot of incentives that you should be taking advantage of. If they get the $2,000 federal tax credit, $1,000 from Tech, $700 for doing the the testing, and then the extra $1,000, we're in several $1,000s that the customer can take advantage of. You can use it to reduce your price, or you can use it to pay for the testing, which we do. We use it to pay our stuff, and it makes a couple of bucks if we put a couple extra dollars on it. And you're doing something that most other companies aren't doing, so you can show them the benefits of doing the program and fixing the problems in their home as you go along. Any of these, NCI, National Coverage, IHACI, Institute of Heating and Air Conditioning Industries Incorporated, all these guys. Oh, Nate. Okay, so right now I've got what? I'm sorry, sir.
Tony Spagnoli.
Tony Spagnoli with North American Technician Excellence of the Nate Series. You can raise that chair. You don't have to be shorter than me. That's not required. Could I get you to scan this little thing right here?
Sure.
That just says that, and I will send you I'm going to start the recording right now, and I will send you a recording of it. We'll send you an email, and let me get a drink of water here. I've been talking this whole time. That's quality H2O right there. Dihydrogen monoxide.
All right.
That is H2O, dihydrogen monoxide. Okay. Which is a refrigerant, 718. You knew that, right?
I
did not. That's
know
okay.
the R number, but I didn't know we used it.
Yeah, it's also a universal solvent. It can cause severe burns. Frostbite.
Yeah.
And if you inhale it, you die. You drown. Okay. So, H2O. Okay. Why don't you take the mic? Okay. All right. So let's do your name one more time.
All right. I'm Tony Spagnoli.
Tony Spagnoli.
Yeah.
And you're with North American Technician Excellence. Welcome to the booth. This is IHACI. We're doing a live stream on YouTube.
Okay.
So we're bringing people into the booth, different exhibitors that talk about the products. And one of the reasons I'm here is because I teach for IHACI, and we teach to Nate.
Yeah.
North American Technician Excellence. In fact, I think they're one of the IHACI is one of the biggest trainers out there right now. Do you think of anybody bigger than IHACI?
Definitely not in Southern California. I know you guys have.
We're in Northern California too. That's where I teach.
Yeah. I know you guys have been a big supporter of ours, and have been doing Nate testing for a while.
Okay. So and so tell how many certifications does Nate have?
So, including all the specialties, it's about 21 different certifications altogether. So, we do have our newer certifications, the CHP5. That's the Certified HVAC Professional. That's our new certification pathway.
Right. Now that's done online, isn't it?
They actually are all available online. So, you can test with an organization like IHACI.
Yeah.
Or we do have what we call remote live online proctoring, where you can test from the comfort of your own home.
And that one's like $50, right?
If you do live online proctoring for the CHP5, it's $75 per exam.
Yeah. Okay. And then, and so what? So that your most basic, you have to do a core.
Yeah. So if you do that traditional pathway, you'll have to do the core, and then any one of those specialty exams.
And then specialties when you do it. So and then you have to have a core and a specialty.
Yeah.
Core is 50 questions.
Yeah.
Specialty is 100.
Yes, sir.
How about the first with the 5?
So for the CHP5, it's still 150 questions, but it's 5 30-question exams instead of doing the 50-question core.
So it's a pathway. You pass this one, move to the next one.
Yeah. So if you finish all 5 of those, you would earn that certification.
Okay. And then for any of the, how long is your certification good for with Nate?
So they're all good for 2 years. So in those 2 years, you would need to recertify, and you can do that by submitting 16 hours of continuing education. And those can be any technical training courses you take, as long as they're
IHACI,
like the ones you can take at IHACI. Yeah. And that's a great way to do it, because I know you will do those 4-part courses. That gets you the 16 hours you need, and then you'd be good to go to Reno.
Yeah. So it's usually if the once they have that, it's the renewal process. You pay, I think it's $25 for the first.
Yeah, so $30 for your first specialty,
and then
$5 for each additional one. But just like when you became certified, so like if you had heat pump service, as that included those other specialties for free, the renewal is the same way.
So what is it? So can you do all that online? I don't think you can do the senior analyst online.
Actually, yeah, we do have that exam available online if you wanted to do that through the live online proctoring.
And that's a 4-hour test.
Yeah, that's a long one. It is a tough one, but if you want to do it through live online proctoring,
And that's an
it's
open
available.
book test, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So you can use any of the reference material that we have listed on the CATE for that one. And with that exam, you probably will need it.
Yeah, and then you can use a computer too, can't you?
Yeah, if you have them saved electronically,
you
like
can use
those
that.
different documents, you can use the PDF versions.
Okay. So, and the senior analyst, that one is good for the same 2 years to renew.
Yeah, but with that one, when you renew the senior analyst, you get all of your other specialties for free. So once you have that one, you'd just be the $130 charge, and you can renew all your specialties.
Everything's done for
Yeah.
free. Well, that gives you, that's a benefit for sure.
Yeah.
Now, which of all the special, so Nate got when did Nate come about? When did North
So
American
Nate was
Chemistry
founded in
come about?
1997. First kind of certification exams became available early '98.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I tell the story about how 2000 we became a Linux Premier dealer, and they required we have one Nate tech on staff for sure. So
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't know anything about it because it was 2000.
Yeah.
And we sent a guy down to Atlanta to get trained. He ended up leaving, so Bob and I ended up having to go take the test.
Yeah.
And when I got there, Charlie Brown, I don't know if you know Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Charlie Brown was proctoring the test, and I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I was, what's your hardest test you got? And he goes, oh, it's the air distribution test, Mitch. And he says, you want to do a practice test? And I said, yeah, sure. So I start the practice test. I get 5 questions in. I go, what's the next not hardest test? And he goes, that's going to be heat pump service.
Yeah.
So the heat pump service, I think, gives you your best value because you get heat pump service. And with every time you get a service specialty, you get the install with it automatically.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you get a heat pump service, heat pump install, but with heat pump, you also get air conditioning service and air conditioning service. So you get 4 certs for the price of 1.
Yeah, and that's the same when you renew. You only have to renew that heat pump
for the
service,
heat pump, and
then you got all the other ones. Yeah.
Right. And it's nice because you can wear the chevrons. I have chevrons, and I wear it when I'm teaching the class typically.
Yeah.
For all this stuff. And then, so when Nate came about, they were talking back in the day then that the utilities were going to require that in order for it to do some of the incentive funds that were available. Is that anywhere? Are they doing that anywhere in the country, or?
Yeah, I know Southern California Edison still does some of their rebate programs if you have your contractor listed on our C3 page. And also in Denver, Excel Energy, they're doing that as a rebate program. And there's a few others scattered throughout the country.
Yeah, and so who comes up with the test questions on the NATES? Is there a board that they have that they develop the questions?
So we have our technical committee. So it's a group made up of subject matter experts.
And NATE's a nonprofit.
Yeah, NATE is a nonprofit.
So it's a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
And it's an alternative to going unions, basically.
Yeah, it's another kind of exam way to prove to homeowners that you have the job knowledge and job skills necessary to do the job right.
Right. Yeah, and it is. You guys do some advertising on the stuff on it, everything else. But in my company, when a person gets a NATE certification, I give them $1 raise.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
no, we do know a lot of contractors that do that kind of as a way to benchmark their employees or have a career path available for them.
Right.
They give pay increases for maybe your first specialty, additional specialties as you add them.
So your committee that puts together all the questions and stuff, do they meet every year, and do they change them a lot, or is it?
Yeah,
I know they did a major change a couple years back.
Yeah, we redid the job task analysis for the heat pump exam, and that's actually in beta testing right now. So we actually had a meeting earlier this morning to finish up the cut score for that new exam. Our technical committee generally meets about twice a year, and we'll pick 1 or 2 exams to review the questions for.
Questions, okay. So, because years ago, back in 2000, I volunteered to redo the questions for the CSLB for a C20 contractor's license.
Okay.
Me and 11 other people. Worst experience I ever had. Oh my God! You get 11 contractors in a room, or 12 contractors in a room. Everybody's got a different opinion, and we had to get through 3,000 questions.
Yeah.
And I could tell you the answers, but I'd have to kill you, so I can't. I was sworn to secrecy.
All right.
Yeah, 3 layers of things. And Nate takes their testing very seriously. The proctoring exams they're all timed. You have an hour and a half for your core, and especially has 2.5 hours. What does the 5s have?
Each one is up to an hour, but they're just 30 questions each.
The 30 questions, yeah. So they should be able to breeze through that in an hour.
Yeah.
And then they're very, no phones. You can't have smartwatches, no tablets when you're doing the proctoring and stuff. And and it's a great environment if you're going to do the testing. What does a testing online cost now for a specialty or a core?
Yeah, so if you do the live online proctoring, a core would be $150 and the specialty is $160.
Right. That's another reason why you should do the IHACI classes and then do the proctoring there with SCE, SDG, or any of the other IOUs like PG&E, because it's $130. We get a discount because we're doing more of them at one time. So
yeah, definitely
doing quantity.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have quality, by the way. So. All right. Okay, we're going to have to take a little break while he's doing the announcements.
Okay.
So this is called live broadcasting. So
yeah.
So there. So how long you work for them?
I've been with Nate for a little over 14 years now.
14 years? Okay. And so you've been, gosh, about halfway through when they were doing it then at 14 years.
Yeah.
They're like 97, so yeah. So if you were to give advice to somebody starting in the industry now, do the fives first if you're going to do it.
Yeah. Training is always just an amazing thing to do. It's a great way to get into the industry, kind of turn this job into a career by getting that certification, adding that level of professionalism to it. So the CHP5 is a great way to start, and then once you have that certified HVAC professional, if you did want to add specialty exams, you could do that without having to retake the core. That CHP5 would count as your core.
Yeah, so count as the core. So you don't have to take the core, just have to take the specialty.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. So you could do those, and then you can just continue on.
Yeah.
How long does it usually take a person to get through the fives?
So you have up to 6 months in between each one, but it just kind of varies based on the technician. Some are, kind of do one every other month. Others take the full 6 months in between each one.
Right. So last time I looked, it was around 35,000 certified technicians that are NATE certified. Is that still about the same, or has it gone up or down? Or
it's gone up. I think the last time I ran it, just a few months ago, we're up to about 41,000.
41,000. So that means it's working, because people are going out there and doing it. And like I said, in my company, I give a guy, he advances in pay if he goes ahead and gets a certification.
Yeah.
So NATE as a group, because it's a non-profit and everything else on it stuff. Their mandate, what's the charter that NATE has that they provide what?
Yeah, so our mission statement is to recognize technicians through our certification program, and then develop technicians through our training programs.
Right. So you continue education, keep them abreast of the stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And in order to get the NATE credits, everything has to be approved. You guys approve the training, whatever it is, and so it's not just like, oh yeah, he's going to have a class on running thermostats. There's a NATE credit. No, you don't do that.
Yeah. So organizations like IHACI submit their courses to us. We review those and approve them ahead of time, and then as certified technicians take them, you all submit us the rosters, and then that's the great thing. Those hours just show up right on the record because it's been pre-approved.
The record, yeah. I know, because I get partial credit. I get half credit for teaching the classes.
Yeah.
I always got like 180 hours or something,
Yeah, easy to recertify with that.
Stupid amount. So, okay, well, fantastic. I'm glad you come by and stopped by the booth. You had anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Covered it all. Okay. So if you're not NATE certified, first of all, start taking the training. IHACI training is excellent training. It's free. It's at night, so you can do your job. Some of it is webinar. Some classes are simulcast, so it'll be webinar, or you could do in person. It's excellent training, and then it's geared toward the NATE, getting your NATE certifications. And it's more than that. We do a lot of other stuff, just that, but it's it's geared for it. And then with the NATE certification, it stays with you. It's not, the company doesn't own it. You did that yourself. You can take that to your next job if you need to. You say, hey, I'm heat pump certified service. And then they see that. And as an employer, that gives you one up with a guy that's not. So,
no, it's a great way for an employer to know that you have the job knowledge and skills.
And have the ability to do what you should be able to do. Okay? Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in, man.
All right.
I appreciate
Thank you for having
it.
me.
Yeah, and keep up the good work.
All right.
All right.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, now we're back to live again. What time is it? Probably. I got one more guy I want to check to see, but Bob took off on me because he got a phone call. Probably one of our jobs. The guys didn't know how to turn a screw. Okay, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Just to tell you guys, that's how it works. Okay, I'm going to step back in real quick. I'm going to stop the recording for Nate, and I'm going to step back in, and we've been running since 1 o'clock. It's now 4:24. I'm going to try to bring in visual services and talk about visual services with either Bob or Don or somebody that works there, John, and see if we can't get them to talk about the visual services, which is an IHACI. It's an offshoot of IHACI. It's basically like MeasureQuick on steroids because it does the same thing that MeasureQuick does, but it allows live feeds and diagnosing of a system. And as a owner of a company, I can see my tech in the field and see what they're doing and live stream back to them. So it's awesome services, and I was going to try to get Bob Wiseman in here, see if he wants to do it, but I got to kind of hang on till Bob gets back. Bob Gunn, our the guy who set up all the cameras and stuff, and try to get him to bring Bob Wiseman in here. If we can get Bob Wiseman in here, we can. In the interim, what I'm going to talk about one of the things, and this is very important, if you're a service tech, or you're going to be a service tech, or you're going to be an installer for a company, or you're going to work for one of the supply houses, keep your DMV clean. Don't get speeding tickets. Don't get DUIs, because I've had to let people go because they got a DUI, or they had to switch them out. Like I had one guy a few years back, got a DUI. It was on St. Patrick's Day, and he went by his dad's house, decided to have a couple of brews, jumped in, was his own truck, wasn't a company truck, drove down the road, got pulled over. Yep, got a DUI. We ended up having to move him into install because I could send a helper with him to drive. And he didn't want it. He wanted to be a service tech. And after about a year of working for us as an installer, he quit and went to work for some other company. They were going to make him a service tech, which they ended up doing. And after about a year of doing that, he finally came back to us, worked as a service tech or as an installer for another 6 months, year, till came off his record, and it wasn't expunged, but they would let him drive after that because he'd taken care of all of his DMV issues from the DUI, and he got to become a service tech again. So keep your DMV clean because it can affect you. I mean, he could have lost everything. It's luckily there was busy time, people were hiring, and if it had been slow, he wouldn't have got hired someplace else as an installer. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Sometimes, and you guys get starting out in a bit, stay with the company that you're starting out with and try to make it work out, because I get guys all the time that hop from company to company to company to company. And as an employer, as I'm looking at resumes, and I see you've been at this company and then you're there for 3 months, and I look at the next company, you're there for 3 months, and I look at the next company 3 months. So I start to suspect that there's a problem, and it's you. Because why are you only there 3 months? Why are you going? And it doesn't hurt to stick it out sometimes. Sometimes try to make it work. Now, I understand people have to move around, but a lot of guys move because they're in a warehouse, another company walks in and says, "Oh, Joe, I know you very well. You've done all this. You're working for this company. Come on and come to work for me, and I'll pay you more money." And then they make that hop. They go, "Oh, I'm going to work over for." So the other guy, he only needed you for a while. He was busy, needed an employee, so he hires you. The next thing you do, you find out 6 months later he's laying you off, and then you go back to your boss and he's already replaced you, your old boss. And he says, no, I hired another guy to replace you. I'm sorry, didn't work out. So that's just good advice for guys. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't switch companies. People switch companies all the time. My company, a lot of guys leave. 6 months later, 8 months later, they come back. They go, "Hey, can I get my job back?" If they're a decent employee and I have work, I will bring them in. But sometimes you end up burning a bridge. Don't burn bridges. Give your old company 2 weeks notice if you can. if they don't want you there, they'll say, no, I'm sorry, you can leave now. That's fine. Or if they want you there, they're going to say, yeah, 2 weeks. So I was trying to get Visual Services to jump in here, but I don't think they're going to make it. We're getting close to 4:30, and I was just going to end it at 4:30. I didn't want to even walk out of the booth and just leave dead air here. So while I'm waiting for Bob, I don't know where he went. Let me call him and see if I can get him on. Let's see if I can get him online real quick here and see if he can get somebody from Visual Services to come over. Because I'd really like to have Visual Services. Let's see if it'll go to voicemail or if I'll have him. So I try to get somebody from Visual Services over here so we can do a quick interview with them, and then we're going to shut it down for the day. It'll be 5 o'clock. I got to give me a couple hours to walk around the show myself and see things. And Bob's not answering. He must be in the bathroom. Nope, didn't answer the phone. So, all right, guys. We have 4:30. If Bob's not back by then, that's one more minute. We're going to shut it down. I appreciate all you guys watching. Anybody that want to hang on. This will all, once I'm done, it's going to upload automatically. You guys can be able to start watching it. Restream as a live broadcast. It won't be live, but it'll, so you can watch this from start to finish. I do apologize for the interruptions during the announcements. I can't help with the voice in the sky, but sometimes you have to. And I appreciate every one of you guys coming and being with us. Okay, we're at 4:30. We're going to stop the broadcast. Thank you. See you in class, guys. And as John Dalton would say, anybody can become a world-class service technician. Just get to know what you work on.